Starting off our list today at number 10, we have The Affair. So it's clear that Jada Pinkett Smith's affair with August Alsina crossed a lot of boundaries, especially since August was one of Jaden's best friends. What makes the situation even more unsettling is that August has even stated that Will gave him his blessing to continue his relationship with his wife. While August definitely didn't do anything wrong to be ashamed about, he did completely give himself to a relationship with Jada just to be thrown to the trash like he was nothing. Even though his relationship might have occurred with honesty and communication between all parties, the age difference between Jada and August definitely raised a lot of eyebrows, with critics being quick to point out that August was in fact introduced to the family as Jaden Smith's best friend. Number 9. Took advantage of August Alsina. When it comes to August and Jada's entanglement, because apparently it wasn't an affair, it was an entanglement, there has been a lot of questions, especially when it comes to the notion that Jada definitely took advantage of August's mental state. When Jada started seeing August, he was struggling to cope with a very vulnerable time of his life. Being 22 at the time, August was struggling with his health, as he was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition that had him hospitalized on multiple occasions. And with Jada stating that she was mentoring him, it would have an inside source tell Page 6 what kind of mentoring was she giving him, where he felt he was giving his all to a relationship that left him devastated and hurt. You did not help him, you destroyed him. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming back at our list today in the number 8 spot, we have Hates Woman. During an episode of the Red Table Talk, Jada Pinkett Smith would have a pretty hypocritical moment when she said that the racial divide between women of color and white women should shrink because they have all been oppressed for their gender, but she candidly revealed that she carried her own biased opinion when she said later on, she went on to note that she had a racial bias towards blonde white women. And when she sees a woman with white blonde hair, she just gets triggered and she has to force herself to stop lashing out at them in the process for no reason. Jada then went on to note that she has these feelings because blonde white women used to bully her in school, but we really had to question if this was because she feels scared about the bond Margot Robbie has with Will Smith. Number 7. Tries to become the woman she hates. So we all know Jada hates women who have blonde hair, and a lot of you have pointed out in the comments in some of our previous videos that it's weird that she has such a bias when it comes to women with blonde hair, as she herself has donned the blonde hair baddie movement, which makes you wonder, does she have a tendency of becoming the woman she hates? As it's clear that her comments about hating women had nothing to do with the girls who bullied her in school, and it was more just an indirect comment thrown as a diss towards Margot Robbie. Because as soon as Margot and Will worked together in the movie Focus, Jada started dyeing her hair blonde and telling her husband to get in shape so Margot didn't embarrass him on the big screen. Number 6. The Oscar slap. The 94th Academy Awards was interesting to the point that everybody is still cracking jokes about it today, even at the 95th Academy Awards that just passed. And what's not funny is that everyone keeps making jokes about violence, when the infamous slap definitely is still hurting not only Chris Rock but also Will Smith. After Chris Rock made a joke about Jada's balding head, she would scrutinize her husband by rolling her eyes and giving him an "are you kidding me" look. The look then definitely wiped the simple smile and laugh from Will's face, and he would stand up and take the stage to defend his wife. Even though Jada has been like, I didn't force him to do this and I'm appalled by his actions, maybe she didn't do it, but she did encourage him to defend her name, and she did have the power from stopping her husband from ruining his career. Number 5. Embarrass Snoop Dogg. Just after Kobe passed away in 2020, Snoop Dogg was quick to call out Gayle King after she stated in a TV interview that in the past Kobe has been accused of making unwanted advances on a woman who wasn't his wife. In an interview video, Snoop Dogg would call out King. In the process, he insulted King's appearance before telling her, "Back off, B, before we come get you." As a result of the outburst, instead of having a private conversation with her close friend, Jada would bring Snoop Dogg on her Red Table Talk show where she would embarrass him, not only in front of her mother and her daughter, but also in front of the whole world. After she told the rapper that she felt hurt on behalf of all women when she watched the video of him going after Gayle. As a result, Snoop Dogg was so embarrassed that he would make another video on his Instagram where he would apologize to King by saying, "When you're wrong, you gotta fix it." A derogatory manner based off of emotions. I was raised better than that, so I would like to apologize to you publicly for the language that I used calling you out of your name and just being disrespectful. But full on, she didn't need to bring him on the talk show to get him to say this. Number 4, drag Tupac's name. If you ever wondered how Tupac would have gotten involved with such a vile woman, you're not alone, as even decades after his passing, people are still wondering what his relationship really was with Jada, especially since she came out to pretty much diss the rapper by saying, "When we first met, I was a dealer." With the two forming a connection while they were both studying at the Baltimore School of Arts, the actor would have to clarify that something very bad happened to make her leave her dealing life behind. And then she would reveal how she got involved with Tupac, and the more she got involved with him, she started to realize that her relationship with the rapper was more just about survival. And then after his passing, it would be noted that Jada broke Tupac's heart after getting with Will Smith, and she would then ask Tupac not to hurt Will, but that was never his intention, and he was hurt that she would say such a thing. Also, the fact she still talks about him today like he's still the love of her life is actually just pretty messed up and really sus. Number 3, Scientologist. Although Jada has tried to claim that she isn't a Scientologist, she has been connected to the controversial religion for years, to the point even an ex-Scientologist named Lee told the Daily Beast in 2017, "I know Jada. She's been in Scientology for a long time. I never saw Will there, but I saw Jada at the Celebrity Center." Lee would then later appear alongside Jada in 2018 for Jada's Red Table talk show, where the pair settled their dispute, and Jada would say, "My grandmother was like, you're gonna learn all the religion, and then you gotta decide which one you want to practice. I always took the position that I'm here at the Scientology Center to learn what I want to learn, and I have no interest in being a Scientologist. But if you had no interest in being a Scientologist, then why did you open a Scientology school?" Number 2, embarrassed Will Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith has never missed the opportunity to embarrass her husband, especially when she heads over to the Red Table talk show. When Gwyneth Paltrow was even a guest of honor on the episode, Jada quickly came under fire for taking the opportunity to embarrass her husband after the two started to talk about their intimate lives. And the spice started to seem a little too much for Will's biggest fans. Not only did Jada take the time to bring up her entanglement, but she also went on to tell Gwyneth that she and Will navigate intimacy in the relationship and that it wasn't as smooth and easy as both of them thought it would be, especially when she noted that she just expected Will to know what she needed when it came to her intimate needs. When she said, "If you love me, you should read my mind." Twitter users then started to imply that Jada was oversharing or going out of her way to call out Will, and they were extremely disappointed that she would play Will like this. And coming in at number 1 today, we have Makes Kids Diss Will live. With Jada's Red Table talk show being pretty controversial at this point, we shouldn't really be surprised when she takes every opportunity she can to make her husband seem like he's the bad guy. Especially when she brought her own children on the show to discuss the problems they had with both Jada's and Will's parenting skills. But the whole thing just turned on Will to make him look like the bad guy with no control. In the episode, Willow would tell Jada that she was extremely upset with the way Will handled her success after she released her 2010 song, "Whip My Hair," when she said, "I only have one terrible experience, which is whip my hair. Just the values of people around me should have been the opposite. You and Daddy should have been okay." We value her musical growth and knowledge more than her popularity. Jada then went on to say that Will's approach was definitely different because they both had different childhoods, but you guys both grew up with hurt and pain, so that just doesn't make sense.
First up, August Alsina. Without August Alsina coming forward, we would have no idea about his affair or entanglement with Jada Pinkett Smith. Will and Jada have been married for 20 years, but it seems that they've been anything but conventional, and the pair have revealed that they have an open marriage. Alsina spilled the beans on his relationship with Jada while on Angela Yee's radio show. When speaking about Jada, he said, quote, "I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life, and I truly, really deeply love her." Alsina even claimed that Will gave the couple his blessing to be together, although Jada denies this. Jada admitted to having an affair with August, but downplayed it as an entanglement. During the Red Table Talk segment where they spoke of the affair, Will looked visibly angry about the situation, and pushed Jada to admit she did have a relationship with August. After admitting to cheating, Jada didn't really apologize or seem remorseful, she instead just deflected, saying, quote, "I was in a lot of pain, I was very broken," saying she only wanted to help August, but it turned into a relationship. Jada said that this entanglement with August happened while she and Will were on a break, and their marriage was really struggling. After Jada called their relationship an entanglement, Alsina told Vulture, quote, "If you look up the definition of an entanglement, it's a complex and difficult relationship. It was exactly that. I think it's just the language that probably stuck out to people." adding quote, "But I definitely have to agree with it being an entanglement. It definitely was something complicated, a complicated dynamic." Even though it doesn't seem like Jada is ashamed of anything that she did, it is strange that she tried to deny it, then downplayed it when she could not brush it off anymore. She's also been accused of using her husband's pain for clicks on her Facebook show, but we'll get more into that later. Next up, Will Smith. Since Jada started being so open about her life on her Facebook show, Red Table Talk, she has consistently embarrassed her husband, Will Smith. Most notably was that episode where they spoke about their marriage and the affair that Jada had with August. In that episode, Will admitted to his wife, quote, "The fact that I am talking to you is a miracle," clearly showcasing the tension in their marriage. And then Will went viral after that interview, and a meme called the quote, "Sad Will meme" spread quickly online. Will brushed off the commentary from that episode, saying he was not sad in that interview, rather he had a long day and was just very tired. He told GQ about the meme, quote, "I'm not sad, I'm effing exhausted." It seems that Will puts his relationship on the line for Jada and their marriage whenever asked, while she doesn't do the same. The most clear-cut case of this was his Oscar slap. Maybe he knew that if he didn't defend his wife in that moment, that would put another strain on their relationship. Will has also admitted that they're only in an open relationship because of Jada. Will has revealed their open marriage was Jada's idea, since she, quote, "has never believed in conventional marriage and had family members that had unconventional relationships." Jada has even shared private information regarding their intimate moments. When Jada had Gwyneth Paltrow on the Red Table Talk, Jada revealed that her intimate relationship with Will was struggling, and that it had been hard for them to keep the spark alive. Jada said, quote, "The accountability part really hit for me because I think you expect your partner to know what you need, especially when it comes to Fans quickly came to Will's defense against her, calling out Jada for speaking so poorly of her husband. One person even tweeted a meme of Jada asking herself, quote, "I wonder how I can embarrass this man this month." Next up, Gabrielle Union. One of Jada's most notable feuds is with fellow actress Gabrielle Union. Neither woman could remember why they feuded in the first place, and Union recalled always feeling strange about the way Jada treated her. Jada decided to clear things up with Union on none other than her show Red Table Talk. Jada said on the show, quote, "She and I did not talk for 17 years and we could not remember why. There was just tension between us every time we would see each other. There was some moment that we had that it just left a bad taste in both of our mouths. When we got on the phone to try and figure out what it was, we could not figure it out." In 2018, Jada had Union on the show, where they finally put the beef to rest for good. The pair talked about their strange feud and how there was always tension between them, but neither had any reason to not be friendly. Smith said, quote, "It felt so good to even just go, hey, I'm sorry that I didn't even take the time to talk to you, and then I had to just apologize and just think to myself, damn Jada, that was some petty stuff." Union later told Today that she was not sure why Jada did not like her. She felt it was the media and other people that pitted them against one another, but thankfully they are on better terms now. Her kids. Jada and Will share 2 kids together, Jaden and Willow Smith. But there have been a lot of people who've doubted their parenting skills, including Child Protective Services. CPS showed up at their home to investigate after a picture showed 13-year-old Willow laying in bed with family friend Moises Arias, who was 20 at the time. While a source told Radar that the case was, quote, "being taken very seriously by the department," Jada told reporters, quote, "There was nothing indecent about that picture or that situation." Will and Jada's parenting style is pretty lax. Will admitted in the past the couple, quote, "do not punish when it comes to their kids." The couple says they would rather give them as much control over their lives as possible. Adding, quote, "The way that we deal with our kids is that they are responsible for their lives. Our concept is, as young as possible, give them as much control over their lives as possible. And on the concept of punishment, our experience is that it has a little too much of a negative quality." Jaden is also a fan of the ways parents discipline, telling Metro that it works pretty well. Although most kids would jump at the chance to have their parents stop nagging them. However, there might be times when it's appropriate to put limits on kids, as they might not understand the consequences of what's happening at that time. One example of this could be Jaden's past friendship with actress Zoe Kravitz. Zoe is 10 years older than Jaden, and Zoe admitted to hanging out with Jaden alone when he was just 14 years old. Although nothing inappropriate happened between them, other parents might want to limit that sort of interaction. Cherie Zampino. Cherie Zampino was married to Will Smith before he and Jada got married. The shady part is that Will and Jada started dating before he and Cherie were officially divorced. Jada's mother, Adrienne Banfield Jones, dished on Access, quote, "I think initially when Will first called you, I think he was still married or he was just separated, and I was like, he's not available to you." Jada added that Will was the div, and the orst didn't happen yet. But Jada later admitted that when she learned things were not finalized, she should have backed off. To make matters worse, Jada has claimed on multiple occasions that she never even wanted to marry Will. She only decided to go forward with it because she got pregnant. Her mother and Will thought that starting a family was the best idea, and Jada reluctantly agreed. Later, the couple agreed to an open marriage. And finally, Jada herself. So I think we all know what happened at the 2022 Oscars between Will Smith and Chris Rock, but I'll give you guys a quick refresher. While Rock was on stage to present an award, he made a joke about G.I. Jane, directed at Jada Pinkett Smith, because she had a bald head at the event. Initially, Will Smith laughed at the joke, but after seeing that his wife did not approve, he got up on the stage, interrupted Chris and the show, and slapped him in the face. Everyone was shocked, but later many came to Will's defense because Jada had been open about her struggles with alopecia. But a few days after the event, many were calling Jada a hypocrite. TikToks of hers that she made days before the show resurfaced, clapping back at those that made fun of her short hair. In one clip she said, quote, "She doesn't give two craps about what people say about her bald head." But clearly that's not true, or she would have been able to take the joke. In the rest of the video, she talks about how her hairstyling for so many years is part of the reason she developed alopecia. Jada shared that she was pressured to present her hair throughout her decades on the big screen and magazine covers. The treatments were used to give her straight hair, but they also caused her hair loss. That's not the only time her behavior has been a bit shady. The actress revealed that she can actually be pretty rude, specifically to people she loves the most. On an episode of her show Red Table Talk, she revealed that she's done so many horrible things to people she loves because of her ego, adding, quote, "Once my ego kicks in, we are in trouble. That Jada baby, she ain't cute, she's a vicious one, and she's mean." She also admitted that she got confrontational towards some of her husband's admirers, revealing, quote, "There was only like 1 or 2 times where I might have gotten a little hostile when I felt people stepped over a boundary that they were disrespectful. Now we got an issue." She did know that she is doing her best to improve these behaviors, but obviously we would hope that she would be nice to people all of the time.
Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Forced to Marry Will, with Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith's marriage being the top subject when it comes to scandals over the last year. It's left us all wondering when Jada might just stop, grow up, and stop making jabs at her husband in an attempt to embarrass him any further. When the actress's reaction after the Oscar ceremony in 2022 was to condemn her husband for slapping Chris Rock, the incident led the press to review previously published content around the couple. And a video then re-emerged from 2018, where in it, Jada could be seen stating that she never wanted to get married and she was forced to marry Will because she was pregnant. The video would actually turn out to be an episode from her Red Table Talk podcast, which featured her, Will, their daughter Willow, and Jada's mother. In the interview, Jada would say she was under so much pressure and she didn't know what to do, but her mother forced her to marry Will. Number 9. Substance use. Back in 2021, Jada would candidly detail her past issues with substances and alcohol, where she would say that she was a walking miracle after kicking her addictions. During her Red Table Talk, Jada would open up about how she used to combine wine with other forms of substances when she developed a tolerance to solely drinking. She would then go on to say, "I wasn't doing things that I thought were addictive, but I would do those 3 together. That was my cocktail. Your threshold becomes so high that what it takes for you to get to the place you need to get to, it will take me 2 bottles to get to, okay? If I do substances with alcohol at the same time, I get there faster and I can keep the feeling going." Jada then said she went cold turkey one day after she had a health scare on the set of the 1996 The Nutty Professor, as she passed out on set and made a total fool of herself. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8. Comments about the Oscars. Just when the confrontation that happened between Will Smith and Chris Rock had become one of the most discussed topics around the world, a lot of people had their say on the comedian's joke and the actor's decision to respond by slapping the comedian. And if things couldn't get any better, Jada Pinkett Smith then broke her silence on the issue when she chose to write a message on her social media account saying, "This is a season for healing and I'm here for it." Though Jada didn't say anything during the controversial moment, she did, however, make sure she was in the center of it going forward, as she claimed that she hoped Will and Chris could eventually heal and reconcile one day, and that she never forced her husband to slap Chris. Her and Will were moving forward and were going to focus on their lives. But it all just seemed a little too sus, and she shouldn't have said anything, and she should have just more supported her husband through this hard time. Number 7. The controversial podcast. When it comes to the Red Table Talk, it's definitely a one-of-a-kind talk show that features a one-of-a-kind family. While the show was created with good intentions, as the family just wanted to create a safe space where they could talk about some pretty weird topics, the conversations have become real raw, unfiltered conversations, where not only the family has exposed their darkest secrets, but other celebrities as well. And while the show has gone on to gain quite an impressive fan base, the in-depth conversations have become pretty controversial when it comes to the hot button issues that are discussed, and it has hurt Jada's career to the point she can't even get casted in anything, and she really hasn't worked on anything since her role in the Scream franchise. Number 6. The Matrix controversy. The Matrix franchise is well known for revolutionizing the cinema world with its stunning visuals and graphics. From the very release of the first movie, The Matrix made an everlasting impact on the souls of the audience, with the franchise being represented well by Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss. Did you know that the hit duo actually could have been represented by celebrity couple Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith? But since Will Smith refused to play the hit character of Neo in the blockbuster franchise, as the actor was in no mood to shoot another Alien movie after Independence Day, Jada Pinkett Smith would fail to be selected for the role, and she blames it on Will, as she didn't have any chemistry with Reeves, which resulted in her to lose the role. So it goes on to show that she just has trouble connecting with other people on set when they aren't her friend or family members. The actress did, however, go on to grab a role in the franchise after she lied about not being pregnant. Number 5. Scientology affiliation. Reports have been stating for years now that Jada Pinkett Smith has had strong ties to the Church of Scientology. Although she has never publicly subscribed to the belief system, many sources have claimed that not only did she once practice Scientology, but she was also heavily involved in it. The information would come to light after a former Scientologist told the Daily Mail that not only was Jada a member, but she was also a recruiter who was paid to lure people into the church. The source also went on to say Jada was always around the celebrity center, doing things her own way with Kelly Preston in the president's office. Tony Ortega, who has extensively covered celebrity involvement in Scientology, also said on his blog, The Underground Bunker, "We have known for years that the dedicated Scientology in the family was Jada Smith, and Jada's alleged connections to Scientology did not stop there. In fact, they only appeared to get stronger over time, as she also went on to open a private school for the church in one of her homes." Number 4. Too full of herself. When the Los Angeles Times caught up with Hubert to ask her to clarify her criticism of Jada, Hubert would claim that Jada and her husband clearly needed to get over themselves when she said, "You ain't all that, you're not kings and queens, you're not royalty, you're simply entertainers." But that's clearly not how the Smiths see it. Vivica A. Fox once even fought back tears as she spoke about Jada Pinkett Smith's remarks about her husband smacking Will Smith at the Academy Awards in 2022, when the actress said on an episode of Wendy Williams' show that Jada took no accountability for her role in the incident on her Red Table Talk. Fox then went on to explain she believes Jada played a part in the incident when she said, "Will was defending her honor. That's the reason he walked on the stage and slapped, because he felt like his wife had been offended." She then went on to note that because Jada took no accountability, it made her seem so self-righteous and full of herself. Number 3. Bad parenting. So before I get into the bad parenting aspect, I think it's worth mentioning that Will and Jada's kids once freaked out Sony executives to the point they emailed Will about the issues, and he just responded by saying everyone just disses his kids. However, Sony isn't the only ones to question Jada's and Will's parenting, as when Willow was pictured in bed with a 20-year-old man in 2014, it would spark a police investigation. Radar Online would then post an article where they would state the Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services were looking into the snap of Willow, who was 13 at the time, that was posted online and then later deleted. Will and Jada were extremely cooperative with officials, but they weren't so happy that their parenting skills were under scrutiny. Jada would then break her silence about the issues and would say that there was nothing wrong with the picture or the situation. Number 2. The affair. It seems like just after the whole world was done talking about Jada's affair with her son's friend August Alsina, it would be brought out again after new details were released to the public earlier this month. As after August watched Chris Rock's Netflix special, he told the Post he thought it was not only funny, but it was also truthful. And that was the best part for him. So when Rock finally went public about his thoughts about being slapped by Will Smith at the 2022 Oscars in his Netflix comedy special Selective Outrage, he would speculate that Smith only smacked him not over his joke about Jada's baldness, but because he was unleashing built-up anger he had over his wife's affair. A source would then confirm that August was happy to see Chris Rock advocating the truth, as everyone has been against him since the whole affair was exposed. And considering Jada downplayed their relationship with her son's friend for 4 years, Will was led to believe that nothing was going on until she embarrassed him on the Red Table Talk, and since Hollywood has been wondering what kind of woman she exactly is, because she's not normal, that's for sure. And coming in number 1 today, we have Not in Demand. After a promising breakout performance as Maureen in the 1997 film Scream 2, Jada's career looked to be heading in the right direction, but then it was stalled in the following years to come after she gained a role in the film Woo. Variety described it as being an unfunny comedy that brought out the worst in just about everybody involved in the film. In years to come, Jada was only able to land supporting roles, but her record with critics has been spotty at best. Despite her best efforts, studios have not been keen on casting her as a leading lady, and the only successful role she's been able to gain a leading role is for her voice work as Gloria on the animated film franchise Madagascar. She even did a really bad job playing Fish Mooney in Fox's DC crime drama Gotham.
Kris Jenner. Believe it or not, the Kardashian clan used to be super close to the Smith family, particularly because Kris's kids got along super well with Jada and Will's kids. In fact, Kendall and Jaden are still super close, but we never see the adults hanging out anymore. It's very likely that their friendship didn't survive the whole famous Khloe Kardashian, Tristan Thompson, Jordan Woods love triangle in 2019. After Jordan was exposed for making out with Khloe's ex Tristan, Jada decided to have Jordan on her talk show, Red Table Talk, to reveal her side of the story. The interview featured a ton of sympathy for Jordan as she said her piece about what went down. Jada and Will have known Jordan since she was born because her father worked on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Apparently, after the allegations came to light, Jordan came to Jada asking for help. Quote, "I just wanted her to have a platform to tell her story. That's it. She's a young, beautiful woman inside and out, and me having been a young girl, we sometimes get into situations that we don't necessarily know how to handle." It's likely that all this sympathy towards Jordan led the Kardashian matriarch to cut ties with Jada, as they were never seen getting close after the incident. Promptly after the interview, the Jenners and the Kardashians all unfollowed Jada and Will on Instagram and vice versa. That being said, they still let their kids hang out, as Jaden was spotted at Kendall's infamous controversial 2020 birthday bash. Next up is Olivia Jade. While there's no overt animosity between Jada and Olivia Jade, there was definitely some very public discussion of having her on the Red Table Talk show. After the college admissions scandal that put Olivia Jade's mother, Lori Loughlin, in jail for attempting to cheat her daughter's way into college, Olivia Jade attempted to go onto Red Table Talk to set records straight. She went onto the talk show in 2020, and Jada's co-host, her own mother, was extremely public about her distaste for Olivia's appearance. Jada's mom stated, quote, "I fought it tooth and nail. I just found it really ironic that she chose 3 black women to reach out to for her redemption story. I feel like here we are, a white woman coming to a black woman for support when we don't get the same from them. It's bothersome to me on so many levels. Her being here is the epitome of white privilege to me. And honestly, it's hard not to see her point." The whole time Olivia Jade was on the show, she just kept talking about, "Oh, poor me. I didn't realize how privileged I am, blah blah blah." And Jada's mom let her have it. She told Olivia straight to her face, quote, "There is so much violent dehumanization that the black community has to go through on a daily basis, right? There's so much devastation, particularly this year, 2020, and everything being brought to the table. There is so much inequality and inequity that when you come to the table with something like this, it's like, child, please. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted with everything we have to deal with as a community, and I just don't have the energy to put into the fact that you lost your endorsements and you're not in school right now." Whoa, I can't even imagine that going over super well on the friendship mark, especially considering this public blasting was broadcasted all over. Next up is Tom Segura. While this may be more towards Will Smith, Tom Segura has held absolutely nothing back when torching the Smith family online for the Oscars slap incident. Obviously, a lot of celebrities are ticked off at Will Smith right now, but Tom definitely brought his distaste for Jada into this rant. In a series of tweets, he said, quote, "Let me tell you this, man. The idea that you're entitled thinks because your feelings are hurt, you get to one of the all-time greats because you feel, and then the cowards, the spineless cowards that are in Hollywood and comedy. We have all the lists of the guys. It's insane. It's like a gross exaggeration. You see it all the time. I mean, you see entitlement everywhere, and that was on full display for the world to see. I have zero respect for that. and I feel like more people need to come out and say it. It's unacceptable. Damn. Tom, tell us how you really feel. That being said, it's unclear if the in question is Will or Jada. It could be either or both in this situation. Either way, I doubt Tom will be invited to any Smith family dinners in the near future. Next up is August Alsina. While I think maybe this one is a bit of a stretch because it's hard to hate someone who's actively keeping you relevant, I do think that August Alsina can't be happy with how his name has been dragged through the mud with this weird open marriage thing that he was involved with. He claimed to have dedicated years of his life to Jada after they had initially been introduced when Jaden brought him home as a friend. Although the two had their affair while Jada and Will were separated, it didn't stop the actor from writing an entire album called Entanglements about her. It has also just been announced that he's going to write a memoir about his time with Jada, which I am like 99% sure is to A, keep him relevant, and B, to drag Will and Jada's name through the ringer. Next up is Cherie Zampino. Cherie Zampino is the ex-wife of Will Smith, who he had one son with named Trey. Although this feud is largely over, Jada openly admitted to really disliking her husband's ex-wife, and the feeling was very mutual. When they began their relationship, Jada and Cherie hated each other. They had a lot of issues with their blended family, which basically meant them all co-parenting the kids that they all had with Will. Zampino recalls a moment when she had to speak to Will about their son Trey, but Jada picked up the phone. Quote, "You picked up the phone and I wasn't really respectful. You basically let me know, I don't really appreciate your tone, and I was like, it doesn't matter. And you hung up on me. I called back and I happened to say, bitch, you're living in the house that I picked out." The two then shared a laugh with one another, so I guess this one doesn't really count because they've definitely made amends with one another. Despite having an extremely rocky relationship to begin with, they seem to get over it for the sake of Will Smith and their kids. Okay, this next one is just for laughs, but Will Smith. I mean, God, they must have had an extremely hard time within their marriage because Jada, for better or for worse, constantly lays it out on the table. She airs her dirty laundry with Will genuinely constantly, and a lot of fans think that the Men in Black actor is so stricken with Jada that he won't see just how inappropriate her behavior is. For example, always on her talk show, Jada insinuated that Will doesn't know how to please her in bed when she was discussing intimacy with Gwyneth Paltrow. Also openly admitted to cheating on Will, and she had an extremely intimate relationship with Tupac Shakur despite her claiming never to have dated him. I can't imagine all that going over super well, especially when we, as the ever-watchful public, know all of these things. I think it would be a much easier pill to swallow if the entire internet weren't calling Will a but here we are. And now that the Oscars slap thing happened because Will was defending Jada's hair loss, it really does feel like a house that's so full of pretension and privilege that I think people have just kind of largely given up on the couple. Anyways, listen, I know it was so tough finding celebrities who openly hate Jada. Not that she's a particularly good person, but like, why even have the public beef?
Number 10, affair with August. So by now, we all know Jada's affair with August as Lena, but it was a secret that she never wanted exposed, and something that she tried to deny up until the very last minute. This is how it all went down. While promoting his third album, August sat down with the Breakfast Club and claimed that the Smiths, whom he considers to be like his family, had an open marriage, and Will allegedly gave the singer permission to date Jada. Quote, "I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation. He gave me his blessing. He also admitted that they deeply love each other, but that he felt like not talking about their relationship was affecting him professionally and personally, because it was a secret that was weighing him down. This was explosive when it first came out, and it's clear that Jada would have prevented this if she could. Almost immediately, her publicist came out with statements denying any romantic involvement, stating that the claims were absolutely not true. But it was already too late to backtrack, and the couple finally decided to air out their dirty laundry and went on the Red Table Talk about a week later. Number 9, feud with Gabrielle Union. Unbeknownst to the world, Jada Pinkett Smith and Gabrielle Union were secretly not speaking to each other for almost 2 decades. The actresses, who both gained prominence in the late 90s, had a long-standing tension between them that led to a 17-year-long feud. Although neither of them can pinpoint the exact moment that caused the rift, both admit to feeling awkward around each other during this period. The two finally put an end to the silence in an episode of the Red Table Talk, where they both talked about how they've grown in terms of female relationships. Jada said, quote, "She and I did not talk for 17 years, and we could not remember why. There was just a tension between us every time we would see each other." She went on to say say that there was some moment where they had left a bad taste in each other's mouths. Years later, when they finally got on the phone to figure out what exactly went wrong, they couldn't figure it out. Jada went on to suggest that it was probably just the two of them being young divas, but even they don't really know for sure. Number 8. Scientology school. This next one is super crazy. Leah Remini claimed that the Smiths founded a school based on Scientology. So to give some background, the couple opened the New Village Leadership Academy, a mysterious private school in Calabasas, California, that opened its doors in 2008 before quietly closing in 2013. While Jada furiously denied the allegations in a 2009 interview with Ebony magazine, quote, "All I can say is that it is not a Scientology school. Now, if you don't trust me and you are questioning my integrity, that's a whole different matter." But the Daily Beast actually spoke to 4 former teachers at the school who all admitted that Scientology is not only bled into the curriculum, but that it was essentially a Scientology school. Also, most of the teachers were followers of the controversial religion themselves, and there were pictures of L. Ron Hubbard hanging on the walls, who was a science fiction writer and founder of Scientology in the 70s. Not only that, but on the Academy's website, which has since been removed, it actually mentioned the study technology as, quote, "an educational model developed by L. Ron Hubbard." Number 7. Investigated by CPS. This incident was not widely known at all because it happened in 2015 when Willow was barely a teenager. Jada admitted on the Red Table Talk in 2019 that she was furious after Child Protective Services showed up to the family home to investigate whether or not her daughter Willow was being starved. It all started when a 14-year-old Willow was photographed while lying in bed next to her shirtless family friend, who was 20 at the time. While she insisted that the photo was innocent, it was definitely extremely controversial, and CPS also thought so too. So they decided to intervene after the agency received a complaint accusing the Smiths of starving their teenager. When recalling the incident, Jada admitted that it was the first time she got really furious. Quote, "I was looking at the lady and the whole time I was thinking, you could be helping so many kids right now, and you're wasting your time with a child who has everything they need." According to the actress, both Willow and Jaden exhibited passive behavior throughout the visit and said that it was like their own personal protest to being investigated by the agency. Number 6. Substance misuse. When Jada was young, she had some very real issues dealing with the addiction that came with substance misuse. She also acknowledged that she drank excessively and used all kinds of narcotics. Quote, "For me, drinking red wine was like drinking a glass of water. I drank a lot in high school, and then I went on to mix everything up." She then recalls a time that she mixed a variety of illicit substances that are a dangerous combination when used together. While on her talk show, she recounted before her mother and daughter that she was high functioning during the week and consumed almost no alcohol for several days, but spent her weekends at parties. Quote, "From Thursday to Monday morning, it was non-stop. Things went on like this for a while, until one episode that changed everything forever. It was in 1996, during the filming of The Nutty Professor, that a young Jada went to work still high off one of her partying binges, and she was in very bad condition. She went on to say that she passed out on set and told everyone it must have been from expired medication, and that was the wake-up call she needed. So when looking back on that time, she sees the whole thing as a miracle." Number 5. Marriage to Will. In December of 1997, the couple got married. A year later, Jaden, their first child, was born. In 2000, they became the parents of a girl they named Willow. Although her marriage had already surpassed 2 decades, which is a really long time when you look at other Hollywood couples, there were many secrets about their real feelings towards each other that were kept hidden from the public eye. Jada eventually confessed that at first she did not want to marry Will. She was 3 months pregnant at the time and felt that she was pressured to say "I do." Quote, "I was so angry because they forced me to get married. So angry that I walked all the damn aisle to the altar crying." So on their wedding day, Jada got cold feet and actually didn't want to go through with it. There was also a time when their marriage hit rock bottom, and it happened when Will realized that his wife had cried for 45 days straight over their troubled marriage. Quote, "She would wake up and start crying. She did it for 45 consecutive days. I know this because I wrote it down in a diary." He also said that it was the time he felt worst in their marriage. This was very difficult for the actor because he had been trying to paint the picture of a perfect family, but it was only putting stress on the couple. Number 4. Leah Remini's accusations. In her memoir, Troublemaker, Leah recalls a time that she and her husband, Angelo, spent time at Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion when he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities, including the Smiths. This is where the story gets a little crazy. He announced to all the guests that he wanted to play hide and seek. Leah somehow got out of it and claimed that her stilettos were too high to run. While it sounds a little weird, in her book, Leah called the Smiths as more famous friends of the church, and even told the Daily Beast in 2017, quote, "I know Jada's in. She's been in Scientology a long time. time. I never saw Will there, but I saw Jada at the Celebrity Center. She even goes on to mention the Scientology school that they opened and reveals that despite what Jada has been saying, that she is indeed good friends with Tom Cruise and an active member of the controversial religion. Then on Watch What Happens Live in July 2017, Jada told Andy Cohen that the hide-and-seek story just wasn't true, and later posted on Twitter, quote, "I have studied Dianetics and appreciate the merits of study tech, but I am not a Scientologist." Number 3. Addiction to adult videos. The actress confessed a little-known fact about her personal life. One of them was that she used to be addicted to sex. Quote, "My types of addictions jump from one side to the other. When I was younger, I thought I had some kind of sex addiction and that everything could be fixed with that." She claimed that she was addicted to adult movies at a time in her life when she had decided to practice abstinence. But her addiction got out of control and she was forced to stop consuming X-rated movies. She went on to say that she got hooked on hardcore movies that were very disturbing. Quote, "It's the behavior that's attached to it, because if you want to have a lot of sex, that's great, but why are you having all that sex? That's what you've got to look at." Jada also shared that once she took it too far when it came to pleasuring herself, and she admitted that while she was taking a break from men, she became way too addicted to doing it herself. And at her lowest, she was doing it 5 times a day, before she suddenly decided one day that it was enough because it had taken control of her life. Number 2. Issues with Chris Rock. Viewers of this year's Oscars were left completely in shock when Will infamously walked up on stage and slapped comedian Chris Rock across the face for making jokes about Jada. But what most people don't know is that the beef between the Smiths and Rock actually goes back several years, so the tension has always been there. Chris once took aim at Jada while he was hosting the 2016 Oscars because the couple had very publicly decided to boycott the event. At the time, their protest was due to the fact that no actors of color were nominated for the 2nd year in a row. Chris said, quote, "Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited." He actually said this during his opening monologue, and it really seemed to sting the actress. The comedian also took a dig at Will at the very same time. He spoke about the actor's performance in the movie Concussion, saying that it's not fair that Will was this good and didn't get nominated, then added it's also not fair that Will was paid $20 million for Wild Wild West. It was such a burn that the couple was clearly not able to shake off. The open relationship. While on the Red Table Talk, some more very questionable things came out that exposed the nature of Will and Jada's relationship. Basically, Will implied that the couple's decision to open up their marriage was Jada's idea because she told him that she never believed in conventional marriage and that they needed to figure out how to make themselves happy individually. So it was almost like she told him that happiness can be found with other people. But Jada's affair with August started to make a bit more sense when she openly spoke about her disappointing sex life with Will. While talking with Gwyneth Paltrow, Jada outright said that keeping the spark alive in their marriage is hard, implying that although they've been married for almost 25 years, he still doesn't know exactly what she wants in the bedroom. Quote, "Because I think you expect your partner to know what you need, especially when it comes to sex. It's like, well, if you love me, you should know. You should read my mind. That's a huge pitfall." It must have been a little embarrassing for Will when Jada insinuated that he wasn't meeting her needs, but now it's obvious she was the one pushing for the open relationship.
Starting off our list today in the number 10 spot, we have toxic. Toxic femininity is usually less obvious than when you compare it to toxic masculinity, because much of it is masked by the display of insincere emotions. With Jada showing a history of passive aggression, backstabbing, display of jealousy, defaming other men or women, and using people to take an unfair advantage, she has been applauded by her bad behavior as people have labeled her to be empowering. Throughout her marriage, Jada has claimed that she was forced to get married and that she was crying when she had to walk down the aisle at 3 months pregnant with her first child. Within her relationships, the toxic femininity translates to emotional, verbal, and psychological abuse. Her overall behavior has even caused generational damage, and she needs to work on herself and heal her life so her children can understand what a healthy relationship is. Number 9. Clash with Snoop Dogg. In the wake of Kobe's passing in 2020, Jada Pinkett Smith wasn't afraid to call out Snoop Dogg over his comments towards Gayle King, and in the process she started a difficult conversation about misogyny after King mentioned a woman accused Kobe of unwanted advancements. Snoop then posted a video on his Instagram where he talked about the issues, and in it he insulted King's appearance before telling her, "Back off, B. before we come get you. As a result, Jada brought the rapper on her Red Table talk show to try to clear the air, where she would say, "When you first came out and said what you said, you know, in regards to Gayle, my heart dropped." Jada then explained to her old friend that when he said what he said, she felt hurt on behalf of all women. Snoop did end up apologizing to King after Jada embarrassed him on her show by taking to his Instagram to say, "When you're wrong, you gotta fix it. I was raised way better than that, so I would like to apologize to you publicly for the language that I used, calling you out of your name and just being disrespectful." But did Jada really have to embarrass him? Because this could have just been a private conversation between friends. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming at number 8, we have poor communication. During an episode of the Red Table Talk back in 2018, Will revealed that he had some pretty poor communication with Jada when they got into arguments, as she just likes to raise her voice and curse him out instead of speaking about their issues like normal people. Will then brought up a significant moment that launched their communication when he said that they were playing Pictionary with 20 other people, and this included Will's son Trey from his previous marriage. Will had his son on his lap, and at the time he was only 1 or 2 years old, and Jada cursed him out in front of everyone by saying, "Will, would you shut the F up?" It got so bad that Will even had to bring her into another room to explain to Jada that because of his upbringing, he didn't wish to be in a relationship that involved the use of profanities and violent language. Number 7, dealing with Tupac. Even decades after his passing, people still have questions about what his relationship was with Jada Pinkett Smith, especially since Jada once said, "When we first met, I was a dealer. That's how we started." The actor then went on to say that something very bad made her leave that life behind. But while she was getting out, she was getting further involved with Tupac, and her relationship turned into a survival moment, as she even once had to bail out the rapper for $100,000. Their friendship still raises eyebrows today, especially since Will Smith admitted to being jealous of the late rapper, as in his mind he was tortured by their connection because Jada loved Pac, and this rendered him to the point he couldn't even be friends with Pac when he was still alive. Number 6, the open marriage. The Smiths have received a lot of scrutiny over their marriage, especially since Jada addressed the rumors surrounding it in 2009 when she told Atlanta's Q100, "I've heard all the things. Their marriage is not real. He's gay, she's gay. They swing." The actor then dismissed the idea that they had anything to prove. Then in an interview later with US Weekly, she would add on to her claims by adding that people are going to think whatever they wanted, and it was too hard to be in a pretend marriage. In recent years, however, they have admitted that they have an unconventional approach to their marriage, as when it comes to their relationships, they have chosen monogamy. On top of that, they've given each other trust and freedom with the belief that everybody has to find their own way, and they do this so their marriage just doesn't feel like a prison. But honestly, it just sounds like this was all Jada's choosing. Number 5, took herself to the Red Table. In the aftermath of August Alsina's bombshell interview, Jada would admit that there was some healing that needed to take place, and she tweeted that she would be the subject of her next Red Table Talk. She would then force Will to also make an appearance on the episode to share his side of the story, and he would just take everything in as she lied about being temporarily separated from Will when she had her affair with August. The couple then went on to reveal that they also reunited after August was out of the picture because Will and Jada realized they just couldn't stay away from each other. With the clip going viral quickly, Jada just kept repeating the word entanglement rather than using the word affair, and she quickly became an online target for jokes, as did a picture that supposedly showed Will in tears because this show embarrassed him to a T. Number 4, stole Will away from his ex-wife. So before Will and Jada actually got married, Will Smith was in a previous relationship with Sherry Fletcher, and apparently before he and his ex-wife split, Jada actually started dating him. She even admitted to being a homewrecker when she said, "Because I did not understand marriage, I did not understand divorce. I probably should have fallen back," but she obviously didn't fall back as she just kept making advancements. During the process, she then became pretty standoffish when it came to his ex-wife over time, and at one point, Will even had to put her in her place over the issue after she had an argument with Fletcher over the phone. Will was not happy with Jada, and Jada would later say his take was that this is my son Trey's mother, and that's not your place. But Jada did make sure she wanted to put Fletcher in her place by making a point that she was the one and Fletcher was not. Number 3, Chris Rock. Before everything happened at the 2022 Oscars, Will and Jada Smith actually had history with Chris Rock, as Jada had been in a full-out feud with the comedian since the 90s, as their beef extends all the way back to 1997, when he took aim at Jada before she got married to Will on his late-night show called The Chris Rock Show. Rock would then begin his roast of Jada when he said, you know, at the Million Woman March, there were moving speeches from people like Maxine Waters, Winnie Mandela, and here are some inspirational words from the lovely Jada Pinkett. Chris then went on to cut a clip of Jada at the march where she says, I'm here today because this is an act of power, woman, okay? She then whittled down a joke where she yelled the lyrics of The Roof is on Fire instead of her speech. He then picked on her again at the 2016 Oscars over her activism. Chris Rock knew something was up with her from the beginning, and that's why a lot of people didn't want to work with her, because she's controversial even when she's trying to do something good. Number 2, hates women. Jada's never been afraid to be vocal, especially when it comes to her Red Table Talk show. In one episode, the world saw Jada note that she found it difficult to be interested in having relationships with white people, when she addressed that she was biased when it came to white women, especially if they had blonde hair, mostly because of bullying she was subjected to in school. She then went on to say, I have to admit, I'm guilty to that to a certain degree because I do have my own biases, specifically to blonde women. Blonde hair on white woman triggers me. I've had to catch myself. She then went on to address that she realized her own hypocrisy as she stated that her past didn't give her the right to put all blonde women in the same category, but she was still going to continue doing it anyways. And coming in number 1 today, we have disrespectful. So when a clip resurfaced, it would show Jada Pinkett Smith underwhelmed reaction to a surprise birthday party Will Smith planned for 3 years, and the video would have the internet divided. When Jada's 37th birthday was over, Will took it upon himself to throw an extravagant birthday for her 40th birthday party. But when that date finally hit, things didn't go as well as Will was expecting things to go. In fact, her reaction was not ideal, and it made Will hit a low point in his life. Jada then ripped Will apart later on her Red Table Talk show when she told the actor she was going through a midlife crisis and she thought his gesture was just a ridiculous display of his ego. She felt like the party just wasn't for her. Everyone felt like Jada's response was rude and disrespectful, as he treated her like a queen and she really just ended up treating him like a peasant. Starting off our list today at number 10, we have alopecia. Just after the 2022 Oscars, the internet couldn't stop talking about the hair loss condition Jada Pinkett Smith is suffering from. With her journey of alopecia being openly documented, TikTok and Reddit users have gone on to prove that the star is lying about her condition, with users debating over images Jada has shared of her bald scalp when she was talking about her hair loss in a video shared on TikTok by Mariah Campbell, along with the caption, "Here is my celebrity conspiracy." The content creator can be heard saying, I think she's completely lying about having alopecia because she's a cheater and wants people to focus on other things. Mariah then went on to say alopecia is patches, smooth patched, where the hair follicles don't grow, and she then started showing images of examples where viewers can see the type of round patches she's talking about. Mariah then went on to show a picture of Jada's head where she pointed out that there's a line on her forehead, which the actress has explained in a previous video to be the result of her condition. Mariah then pointed out this line was most likely caused by cosmetic surgery and not alopecia. Her second argument would then prove that Jada was lying when she pointed out that if Jada had alopecia, she would have circular, bald patches, but she seems to have a lot of hair growth for someone who has alopecia, meaning she forced Will to smack Chris for no reason. Number 9. Racial bias reason. As we've all come to learn from the recent videos, it's that Jada Pinkett Smith hates white women with blonde hair, meaning she hates my very existence, especially now that I'm calling out for all of her lies. While Jada went on to explain her revelation back in 2018, she would sit down to discuss why seeing blonde hair on white women just triggers her, when she admitted to her own biases by saying, I have to admit I'm guilty to that to a certain degree because I do have my own biases, specifically to blonde women. Blonde hair on white women just triggers me. I've had to catch myself. When her mother asked her if there was a specific incident that happened with someone who had blonde hair, the actress tried to claim that throughout her childhood she was teased by white women in regards to her hair and how she looked. But we all know she's just lying about why blonde hair women trigger her, as it's clearly just a sneak diss towards Margot Robbie. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss on what we might just cover next. Coming back to our list at number 8, we have the entanglement. Just after August Alsina came out to expose Jada for having an affair with her husband, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith would soon come out to deny the singer August Alsina's claims that they were in a long-term relationship for years while she was still married to Will. After August spoke publicly about being involved with Jada Pinkett Smith, reps would soon come out with a statement calling the claims absolutely not true. Shortly later, Jada would then head over to her social media accounts to state that there was a lot of pain that needed to be discussed and that she would be taking herself to her famous Facebook watch series, The Red Table Talk. During the conversation, we would learn that the entanglement was in fact true, despite what her representatives led the public to believe in the beginning when Jada admitted to the affair, and when it finally came out, it obviously was all lies, as she also claimed Will never gave the pair his blessing. However, August Alsina has nothing to lose when it comes to his affair, so why would he lie about the issue? Number 7, the Oscar slap. With the infamous Oscar slap being what's been talked about for over a year now, makes us wonder if this incident is ever going to fade away. Probably not. With footage emerging from the Oscars online, it would show Jada Pinkett Smith had a really odd reaction to her husband Will Smith smacking Chris Rock on stage at the Oscars, which suggests that she forced her husband to make a stand for her. When Chris made a joke about Jada playing G.I. Jane because of her bald head, Chris was reportedly unaware of the actress being diagnosed with alopecia. So while we went on to laugh at Chris' joke in the beginning after he saw his wife roll his eyes, things quickly took a sharp turn for the worse. With the event being telecast live, the moment was so intense it didn't show Jada's initial reaction to the slap, or any of the interactions between her and Will beforehand. But now, videos have surfaced online, and in them, Jada can be seen laughing after Will took to the stage to slap Chris before going on to act just as confused as the rest of the audience, which proves Jada is shady and manipulative. Number 6, relationship with Tupac. For years now, Jada has been lying to the public about how serious her relationship was with Tupac. And honestly, it's gone a little too far as she keeps running her mouth with imaginary stories of the late rapper that make no sense. And it's gotten to the point she's even made her children believe that she would be happier if Tupac was still alive, as Willow even once wrote to the late rapper when she was 11 years old claiming so. With Jada and Tupac's relationship dating all the way back to the 80s when the two attended the same college, Jada has constantly stated that her relationship with Tupac has been strictly platonic, but then she tends to make her presence known whenever he starts to trend again online, which suggests that Tupac was more than just a friend. Especially since after Tupac passed away, his friends would come out to say how much Jada destroyed him when she left him for Will. And since a lot of Tupac's friends have been disgusted by the way she uses his name to draw attention to herself. 5, not being pregnant. So many actors have admitted to lying to get a gig, and Jada happens to be one of these people. As she once revealed when she was offered the role of Niobe in The Matrix Reloaded, she was pregnant and kinda lied so she could secure the job. After the actor explained why she lost out on the role of Trinity in the original film as it came down to chemistry and she just had none when it came to acting with Keanu Reeves, she went on to explain that the Matrix directors were so impressed with Pinkett Smith that they created a role for her. But the role was actually supposed to go to Aliyah in the beginning, not Jada. Though the role was later given to Jada, she would have lost out on part of it if she had been 100% truthful, as the actor was pregnant with her daughter Willow at the time filming was required. And her being due in November, there was a small problem. Her daughter was due the same month. The film was supposed to start filming, so she lied, saying her baby was coming in October, so she would be ready by the end of November. Luckily, Willow came at the end of October, or things could have been a real mess for the production team. Number 4, loving Will. Lately, it's been pretty clear that Jada Pinkett Smith has never loved Will Smith. Now, I get it. You're all probably wondering to yourselves how I may have came to this conclusion. Well, just let me explain. I came to this conclusion because she's had an entanglement, and then she went on to put all of her business out on the table while diving into everyone else's business in the process during multiple episodes on her infamous Facebook watch series, The Red Table Talk. But think about it. If Jada seriously loved Will, like truly loved him, she would have never let him run up on the stage and smack Chris. She would have never laughed about the overall situation, and honestly, Will would be happy, but instead they both look miserable with each other. So it shows that when she says she loves Will, she's truly lying to Will and herself. Number 3, being a good parent. For years, Jada has been trying to convince the public that she nailed the whole parenting thing, and that the way she approaches things as a mother is how every mother should be approaching their child. However, when Jada brought her children, Jaden and Willow, on the Red Table Talk, they would open up about how hard it was for them to have Jada and Will as parents, and how they found it difficult to grow up in a famous family. To the point her kids felt like there was seriously not enough support when it came to their artistic careers, and they wished wish that their family could have noticed they were struggling and gave them support. Instead of admitting to the problem, Jada then went on to blame the whole thing on Will Smith, before noting that they had different parenting skills due to the fact that they grew up with different backgrounds. But how you grow up shouldn't affect the way you parent your children, as we all have control over our own actions, and people can't affect that. Number 2, not being a Scientologist. For years, Jada Pinkett Smith has been lying about how involved she is with Scientology, with former Scientology members confirming that not only was Jada involved in the controversial religion, they've also pointed out she was actually a recruiter for the organization. While the star has been known to visit the Scientology Center from time to time, she's even tried to claim that she was just at the church out of curiosity and wanted to learn what she wanted to learn, and she didn't think of herself as being a Scientologist. However, with the actress helping the church open the new leadership academy in her own home, it would later be revealed by teachers and parents who pulled their kids out of the school that the school's curriculum followed the teachings of Scientologists. And if the actor wasn't a Scientologist, then why did she force her husband not only to open the school with her, but allow the church to open the academy in one of their homes and put her own children in it? It adds up. Number 1, Chris Rock. Just after Chris Rock released his brutal Netflix Selective Outrage special, Jada Pinkett Smith would try to take aim at the comedian by saying he was obsessed with her. However, we all know this just isn't the truth, because who's obsessed with Jada Pinkett Smith? As she would have a close source come out to point out that she had nothing to do with the drama between Chris and her husband, and the only part she ever had in this mess was the fact that Chris heckled her. The source then went on to try to claim that Chris was so obsessed with her for almost 30 years by pointing out when he filmed the special it was in her hometown, and then he claimed how she should have been made fun of as she started this. As he argues, she should have quit the Oscars. I mean, Chris is hurt, but I don't think he's ever been obsessed with Jada. As compared to some of the other celebrities he's heckled, he says her name way less. It just seems like Jada's trying to use anyone at this point to help her play victim, and that's exactly what she's doing in this situation.
First up, of course, we have Chris Rock. The person who has shown the world the true dynamic of the Smith family is definitely Chris Rock. After Will smacked Chris on stage at the Oscars, the world got to see a different side of Will, and it was shocking. While comedian Chris Rock was speaking to the crowd and taking some dig at the celebrities in the audience, Rock decided to take a jab at Jada Pinkett Smith, and I'm sure you know what happens next. Chris said, quote, "Jada, love you, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it," referencing her almost bald head, because in the movie G.I. Jane, the lead actress Demi Moore had a shaved head. Jada has been open about her struggle with alopecia, and that's why she shaved her head that night. Immediately after the joke, Will Smith decided to get up, interrupt the broadcast, and slap Chris Rock in the face for millions to see. Chris looked stunned and was not sure exactly how to respond. Will then walked back to his seat and yelled, quote, "Shut your mouth, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," twice. After the slap, Rock looked completely stunned, having no idea what to do or say. It looked like he was about to clap back and say another harsh joke about Will or his family, but Rock took the high road and decided to stay calm. The internet was set ablaze by the slap, with many not even sure if it was real or just staged for publicity. But considering the aftermath, it was clearly real. Although many pointed out that Will actually laughed at the joke moments before deciding to get up and slap Chris Rock. After this event, many are accusing Jada of wearing the pants in their relationship and manipulating Will to do her dirty work for her. There's a chance that he was simply defending his wife, but many believe that Will knew that if he didn't do something to avenge her honor in that moment, Will would have been in trouble. Even though the event was said to be the biggest night of Will Smith's life, which definitely it was, just not in the way that he wanted. Next up, August Alsina. After the infamous Oscars slap, old reports that Jada had cheated on Will in the past resurfaced. The pair have spoken about how they are in an open marriage, so we are not sure if it was really cheating or not, but Jada admitted she was in a quote entanglement with rapper August Alsina during a break with her husband. During the Red Table Talk segment where they spoke of the affair, Will looked visibly angry about the situation and pushed Jada to confirm that she did have a relationship with August. After admitting to cheating, she did not apologize or even seem remorseful. She instead deflected, saying, quote, "I was in a lot of pain, I was very broken," saying she only wanted to help August, but it turned into a relationship. Alsina had been introduced to Jada by her son Jaden at a London music festival in 2015. Insiders stated that August became like a member of their family, even going on vacations with them and staying in their mansion. August is 21 years younger than Jada, and he claimed that Smith had actually given his blessing to have an affair with his wife, an allegation that Jada has denied. Will also reported that he had affairs with other women during this time. He He was rumored to have slept with co-star Margot Robbie. Many believe that Will's insane reaction to the joke is proof that he is in a toxic relationship with his wife because he completely embarrassed himself on the biggest night of his life, all because of a bad joke. Even though it doesn't seem like Jada is ashamed of anything she did, it is strange that she tried to deny it, then downplayed it when she could not brush it off anymore. And without August coming forward, we would have never known about their strange relationship. Margot Robbie. Jada most likely hates actress Margot Robbie because it was rumored that Margot and Will had an affair while they were filming the movie Focus. But that's not all. Jada has also admitted that she has a bias against white women with blonde hair, which we assume attributed to this dislike. In 2018, Jada made headlines when she admitted on Red Table Talk that she has a racial bias, specifically admitting that she has a problem with blonde white women, saying on the episode, quote, "I do have my own biases, specifically with blonde women. Blonde hair on white women just triggers me, and I've had to catch myself." Pinkett Smith even admitted that she second-guessed doing interviews with blonde women in the past because they remind her of the type of kids who used to tease her in school. But Jada has worked hard to fix this bias and even admitted that white women still do face oppression based on their gender, making it easier to relate to them. Next up, Cherie Zampino. Cherie Zampino was married to Will Smith before he and Jada got married. The shady part is that Will and Jada started dating before he and Cherie were officially divorced. Jada's mother, Adrienne Banfield-Jones, dished on Access, quote, "I think initially when Will first called you, I think he was still married or he was just separated, and I was like, he's not available to you." Jada added that Will was div, but the worst didn't happen yet. But Jada later admitted that when she learned things were not finalized, she should have backed off. To make matters worse, Jada has claimed on multiple occasions that she never even wanted to marry Will. She only decided to go forward with it because she was pregnant. Her mother and Will thought that starting a family was the best idea, and Jada reluctantly agreed. Later, the couple agreed to an open marriage. Scientology connections. After the Chris Rock incident, some started connecting the dots between the bizarre slap and Scientology. This is because the Smiths have been tied to Scientology in the past, and physical punishment is a popular teaching in the church. Apparently, it's a common teaching in Scientology to use slaps and other forms of physical force to show other Scientologists that they've done something wrong. After the slap, one user tweeted, quote, "There's a Scientology course, I guess you'd call it, that involves slapping or physically humiliating fellow Scientologists in a group setting as a means of exerting superiority. It's remarkably common within the cult." The user even shared that Tom Cruise is known to use similar styles of punishment, but instead of hitting, he uses shouting to intimidate movie crews. Although the Smiths have denied being involved with Scientology, the connection is pretty hard to deny. The couple were apparently introduced to the church by none other than Tom Cruise back in 2004. They got so involved with it that the Smith family spent almost $1 million in 2008 to set up a school for the church. The Smiths said they designed the curriculum in the school, but insiders claimed it was based on Scientology. Both Jaden and Willow attended, but the school closed 6 years later when most of the parents removed their children. Tony Ortega, an expert in Scientology, said that the Smiths left Scientology in 2015 and that Will at least only ever dabbled in it. However, he says that Jada was a full-fledged member and apparently everyone knows it. Next up, William Hendricks. The Oscars was the first time that many Will Smith fans saw him get violent. But to people like William Hendricks, his hot temper is well known. In 1989, Smith spent a night in jail after he hurt a man named William Hendricks so badly that Hendricks almost lost his sight. Even more coincidental, this incident happened days after Will won his first Grammy. I guess he likes to get into altercations around award season. The charges were later dropped against Will. Will Smith was 20 years old at the time, and after getting in a verbal argument with the producer, decided to make things physical. As per a police report, Smith asked his bodyguard, Charles Alston, to quote attack record promoter William Hendricks, who needed 6 stitches after he fractured his left eye orbit during the altercation. Next up, Sony executives. One of the strangest things about the Smith family is the couple's relationship to their children. The Smiths have been open that they don't use punishment when dealing with their kids, and they pretty much let them do whatever they want. But this parenting style may have backfired, because it's common talk in the industry that Willow and Jaden are entitled brats that nobody wants to work with. Because of their parents, the kids have auditioned for many big roles in the past, but only Jaden has landed roles alongside his father. It was exposed that Sony executives have exchanged emails saying not to allow the Smith kids in their movies. As a response to this, Will shrugged and noted how, quote, everyone disses his kids. Some of this might stem from the differences between Will and Jada and how much fame they want their kids to have. Sources say that Will wants to push his kids to fame much more than Jada wants to, leading to a clear difference in parenting. Considering Will admits to being responsible for their kids' erratic behavior, it's not far-fetched to think that there's a clear difference in what both parents want for their children.
Number 10. Against discipline. Smith's unusual parenting style has raised eyebrows over the years, but he and his wife faced backlash in April 2013 when he revealed that they didn't believe in punishing their two younger children, Willow and Jaden. Will told Metro UK, quote, "We don't do punishment. The way that we deal with our kids is they are responsible for their lives. Our concept is, as young as possible, give them as much control over their lives as possible." And when talking about the concept of punishment, they believe it has too much of a negative quality. Basically, their whole parenting philosophy is that they don't believe in disciplining their kids. But criticism of their parenting style really exploded in 2014 when 13-year-old Willow was photographed in bed with a 20-year-old actor laying down right beside her. The whole thing even led to an investigation by Child Protective Services. In an interview with BBC Radio a couple of years later, after the initial drama, Will actually admitted that he and Jada may have gone a bit too far in their hands-off approach, and perhaps should have kept a tighter rein on Jaden and Willow. Regardless of whether you think the Smiths were wrong in their parenting approach or not, there's no denying that it led to two incredibly creative individuals. Number 9. Wanting multiple girlfriends. While the Smiths are no longer trying to hide how they feel about open relationships, many people have actually taken more offense to Will's misogynistic comments about women, specifically when he admitted in a 2021 GQ profile that his fantasy was to have, quote, "a harem of girlfriends." He proceeded to name Halle Berry and ballet dancer Misty Copeland as two women that he would invite to be in it. Then, under the direction of an intimacy coach that he had at the time, he researched them and even made plans to contact them. Quote, "The idea of traveling with 20 women that I loved and took care of and all that, it seemed like a really great idea." Obviously, he never acted on the impulse, eventually realizing that it wouldn't be fun at all in reality. He apparently came to the conclusion that it would be horrific and it would in fact make him miserable. Can't really argue with that one, but it might have been a good idea to keep that fantasy hidden. Number 8. The entanglement. Musician August Alsina brought the Smiths' relationship into the spotlight in July of 2020 when he revealed that he was romantically involved with Jada, and Will knew about it the whole time. He had even given them his blessing. Although Jada initially denied the claims, she eventually confessed to being in an entanglement with August when she and her husband were separated. Quote, "We decided we were going to separate for a period of time, and you go figure out how to make yourself happy, and I'll figure out how to make myself happy," Smith said during an appearance on the Red Table Talk in July of 2020. They both went on the talk show together, and in a heartbreaking episode, Jada told Will how she came to be romantically involved with August, and how he made her feel special because of what they were lacking in their relationship at the time. Will took the whole thing like a champ, but the clip went viral online because he looked like he was on the verge of tears the whole time that Jada was talking. Looking back on that moment now, it almost hurts to watch. Number 7. Strange beliefs. Jaden and Willow Smith have long been open about their bizarre opinions, but all of their insane comments have mostly been swept under the rug over the years. The siblings have also come out and labeled themselves as indigo children, who are believed to possess special, unusual, and supernatural traits that was popularized in the 70s. One of the most unforgettable interviews was done by T Magazine in 2014, who felt that their sibling dynamic would make them just the right people to talk about all those classic teenage topics such as quantum physics, prana energy, and the lucid, often elusive nature of temporal interpretation. Jaden said, quote, "Here's the deal, school is not authentic because it ends. It's not true, it's not real. Our learning will never end. And that kids who go to normal school are so teenagery and so angsty." He went on to say that you never learn anything in school. Think about how many car accidents happen every day. Quote, "Driver's ed? What's up with that? I still haven't been to driver's ed because everybody I know has been in an accident, and I can't see how driver's ed is really helping them out. I mean, we could break that down even more, but I don't really see the point." It's just funny because you know he was completely serious when he said it. Number 6. Hating on Aunt Viv. One of the most controversial opinions that Will has had is that of Janet Hubert, who played Aunt Viv on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. When she left the sitcom due to creative differences in 1993, Will Will slammed his former co-star during a radio interview. "All I can say is straight up that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show." He also said that she told him, quote, "I've been in the business for 10 years and this snotty-nosed punk comes along and gets a show." Those comments marked the start of what would eventually become a 30-year feud. Janet claimed that Will spread lies about her behavior on set because he knew the audience was mostly on her side. It wasn't until the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion special in 2020 that Will even acknowledged that he had made the set difficult for Janet during the 3rd season. It was a really sad moment because she admitted that the rumors Will started had cost her everything, including her career and her reputation, saying, quote, "Calling a black woman difficult in Hollywood is the kiss of death." Will only realized his mistake much too late and said that after having 3 kids, he's learned some things he did not know at the time, and he would do things differently with Janet had he gotten another chance. Number 5. Secret third child. Not everyone knows that Will actually has a 3rd child from his first marriage to Cherie Zampino. Trey Smith, who is now 29 years old, mostly lived with his mother following his parents' divorce in 1995, and so that's why he's still relatively unknown. But Trey has actually struggled quite a bit compared to his half-siblings. In a 2018 Instagram post, Trey said that he felt betrayed and abandoned for a long time after his parents' divorce, and even Will admitted that he and his eldest child struggled for years to develop a good father-son relationship because he basically made a whole new family and moved on without Trey. The truth is, his father's total absence from his day-to-day life was quite hard on him growing up, and Will has also said that he regrets how neglected Trey felt. In fact, they have only recently been back on good terms, and the actor said that he and his firstborn son have slowly started growing and healing, overcoming their past trauma, even posting on Instagram in 2018, quote, "It is a wild blessing to recover and restore a loving relationship with my beautiful son." Number 4. How they met. The couple often paint their love story as one for the ages, but they definitely tried to gloss over the fact that their relationship began when Will was technically married to his first wife, Cherie. In fact, Jada let this information slip voluntarily in a 2018 interview with Access, admitting that when Will first reached out to her, he wasn't exactly fully free to do so. Quote, "He was just separated," and then went on to say that the divorce had not even happened yet. The couple has maintained that they weren't physically involved until the divorce was finalized, but many fans believe Will's heart had certainly strayed well before he made any move to end things with Cherie. During a sit-down interview on Red Table Talk, Will actually said that at a certain point in his first marriage, quote, "I had a realization that I wasn't with the person I was supposed to be with," but maintained that he didn't want to get divorced. He kind of admitted that instead of being honest with his wife right away, he just lost feelings for her and kept it private. But in the end, his ex-wife was the bigger person and ended up asking for the divorce, which allowed him to publicly date Jada right after the papers were signed. Number 3. Nepotism. The Smith family are undeniably a very tight-knit unit, collaborating on so many projects together throughout their careers. Some critics have accused the patriarch of nepotism, and they may have a point. It's pretty easy to see why. Just glancing through Jaden Smith's IMDb page, you can actually see that most of the movies he starred in were produced by one of his parents. The accusations were so intense that in Will's memoir, he opened up about casting The Pursuit of Happiness, saying that the studio actually didn't want to cast Jaden because it would seem like nepotism, and that would just ruin the credibility of the film from the get-go. But even though the studio was hesitant, the concerns didn't keep the Smiths from pushing for Jaden to get the part, and eventually they had their way. Don't get me wrong, the movie was great, but fans could not ignore the clear favoritism that was happening behind the scenes. Many people even called out his acting abilities in After Earth, which completely bombed at the box office, and Will even called it the most painful failure of his career. Number 2. Open marriages. Will and Jada have been shutting down rumors for literally decades, from claims that they're in an open relationship and speculation that they're swingers, to reports that Jada even cheated on Will with Mark Anthony. During an interview with GQ in 2021, Smith finally revealed that he and his wife haven't always been monogamous. Quote, "Jada never believed in conventional marriage," and went on to say that Jada had family members that had an unconventional relationship. So she grew up in a way that was very different to how he grew up. He hinted that both parties had taken advantage of the trust and freedom in their relationship in their own way. Will admitted that for a large part of their relationship, monogamy was what they chose, but it's clear that somewhere down the line they decided to stray from that traditional dynamic. In fact, Will was rumored to be hooking up with Margot Robbie on the set of their film Focus in 2013, after photos were leaked of the pair joking around and getting very close in front of the camera in a photo booth. But Margot was quick to deny everything on Twitter. Quote, "There's absolutely no truth to the ridiculous matter. It's disappointing that goofing around on set could be taken so out of context. Well, people really do jump to conclusions." And coming in at number 1, ties to Scientology. While the couple have never confirmed their religious affiliation, the Smith family has long been rumored to be members of the controversial Church of Scientology. Smith told Men's Vogue in May 2011, quote, "I've studied Buddhism and Hinduism and I've studied Scientology with Tom Cruise, and nobody's saying anything different." His comments obviously earned a great deal of backlash, especially when he claimed 98% of the principles are identical to the principles in the Bible. But then in October 2018, he declared that his family have never been Scientologists. To confuse matters even more, many of the Smiths' movies reportedly contain Scientology references and themes. In 2013, Vulture even called his sci-fi flick, After Earth, that he did with Jaden a love letter to Scientology. Not to mention the fact that in 2007, Will and Jada donated over $122,000 to the church. The truth is, we may never know whether the family are members of the religious movement or not, but the fact that the famous family hasn't condemned Scientology is already a major problem for some fans, especially as more and more disturbing allegations are continuing to come out about the church in recent years. 10. Wave of accusations. Will Smith shocked fans, viewers, and Chris Rock when he walked onto the stage at the 2022 Academy Awards and slapped the comedian across the face, then casually just walked right back to his seat. The incident occurred while Rock was introducing the award for Best Documentary and joked about Jada Pinkett Smith's haircut. It was then that Smith silently got up on stage, walked over to Rock, and slapped him across the face on live television. The shocking moment has not only got him banned from the Oscars for 10 years, but has already cost Smith several projects, which have either been cancelled altogether or shelved in the fallout from the infamous slap. Apple is reportedly delaying the release of Smith's much-awaited film Emancipation to 2023 following the incident. Netflix also canned the sequel to Smith's 2017 action film Bright, although they claim the cancellation was unrelated to the slap. And there are many additional projects that Smith had lined up that have been totally smacked down, leading him to reportedly have an emergency meeting with his agent to develop a strategy combating the wave of cancellations. Number 9. Early damage control. In what seemed like his very first attempt at damage control, Will Smith gave a teary apology during his acceptance speech at the 2022 Oscars, not long after the infamous Chris Rock slap occurred. Quote, "I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees. This is a beautiful moment and I'm not crying for winning an award." Smith took home Best Actor for his role in King Richard, but because of the crazy events that had just transpired on stage, it looked like the actor was already trying to get himself out of hot water by saying that art imitates life and that he looked like a crazy father, just like they said about Richard Williams. But love will make you do crazy things. The first-time Oscar winner could barely get out his words as he held back tears, which would have otherwise been very touching if you forget the fact that he violently attacked Chris Rock and humiliated him in front of millions of people. The 53-year-old tried to downplay the incident by thanking the Academy and saying that he hopes to be invited back to the Oscars, but the only person he didn't apologize to was Chris Rock. Number 8. Willow's post. Several days after the attack, the whole Smith family was silent, and it looked like no one was willing to speak on the incident publicly, until Willow Smith shared some cryptic tweets almost a week after her father's resignation from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. After the notorious slap incident, fans were rightfully on the edge of their seats, waiting to see if his kids agreed with his actions. But Willow instead chose to get very philosophical and tweeted, quote, "The meaning of life is found in challenge, and life is a series of reactions." But just when it looked like she was on the fence, she she also posted a quote on her Instagram story that said, "You know who's going through a lot right now? Literally everyone. Just be kind." While the post came only a few days after the Oscars slap, she did not really make a correlation to the incident, but instead just implied that her father was going through a lot. It was probably a good move considering the extreme backlash that Smith was receiving, which he still hasn't managed to come back from even now. Number 7. Jaden's tweet. The 23-year-old was a lot more upfront when it came to rushing to his father's defense, tweeting, "And that's how we do it." Shortly after the slap, the rapper and actor chimed in after the eventful night for his parents at the 94th Academy Awards, being sure to show his support for Smith's actions, who was supposedly trying to defend his mother, Jada Pinkett Smith. Not only that, but in another tweet which Jaden posted shortly after the Oscars ended, he shared a photo of himself wearing sunglasses, looking very dazed in the backseat of a car, writing, quote, "My dad's speech made me cry." The photo got retweeted more than 42,000 times and was met with mostly negative responses from social media users, some alleging that the star was a hypocrite because earlier that month he tweeted, "Praying for peace in the world." Some users mocked his tweet by using his own past comments against him, saying that he should instead be talking about the political and economic state of the world right now. You gotta give them points for that. Number 6. The public apology. Fortunately, Smith did end up issuing what seemed like a real public apology to Chris Rock, starting the Instagram post off by saying, "Violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive." The Oscar winner wrote this after he had some time to reflect on the incident, a full day after the ceremony where he won Best Actor for playing Venus and Serena Williams' father. Quote, "My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable." He went on to say that jokes at his own expense are a part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for him to bear and he reacted emotionally. He also admitted that slapping his longtime friend and comedian was way out of line and simply wrong. Smith said that he was embarrassed about his actions and said sorry to the Academy, the Oscar producers, and everyone in attendance, everyone watching from home. Although the apology seemed genuine, Smith still seemed to justify his actions in the post, and the backlash against him only intensified. It clearly didn't work out because not long after, the Academy announced that the actor was banned from attending the award show for the next 10 years. Number 5. Red Table Talk. Almost 2 months after Will struck the comedian in the face at the Academy Awards, Jada Pinkett Smith addressed the incident on her talk show, The Red Table Talk. At the beginning of the episode, Jada said into the camera, quote, "About Oscar night, my deepest hope is that these two intelligent, capable men have an opportunity to heal, talk this out, and reconcile." She then went on to say, "With the state of the world today, we need them both, and we all need one another more than ever." She spoke about how her family will come back from the incident, explaining that they will continue to do what they have always done for the past 28 years, and that's to keep figuring out this thing called life together. She decided not to mention it further, but going on family talk shows to clear the air might have brought them even more bad publicity, as everyone remembers the famous episode where Jada admitted to cheating on Will and being caught in an entanglement with a much younger man. Will looked absolutely defeated and on the verge of tears the whole time, which spawned a million memes as we know it. It was a complete disaster that turned many fans against Jada. Number 4. Summerfest dropouts. Summerfest lost a second headliner as the festival announced that Willow will no longer be performing at this year's big gig. The 21-year-old was set to take the Power stage on the 30th of June. But in a Facebook post, Summerfest announced that Willow will not be performing, and instead singers Gail and Nessa Barrett will replace her. What's really interesting is that she's actually the second headliner to drop out at this year's festival. Last week, Justin Bieber postponed his 2022 Summerfest show due to facial paralysis from Ramsay Hunt syndrome, and coincidentally, Jaden Smith was set to open for him that very same night. But with Bieber dropping out, so did Jaden. The performances at Summerfest would have been a great chance for the Smiths to come back from all the controversy that's rocked their family over the past few months. So it's a shame that they both dropped out given everything that's been going on. Number 3. New memoir. This might be one of the only ways for the now disgraced actor to restore his reputation. Will Smith reportedly isn't going to hold back when it comes to telling his story in his new memoir. In his deeply personal and vulnerable book, simply called Will, the Academy Award nominated actor details his life both in and out of the spotlight, from his early rap career in Philadelphia to his troubled relationship with his violent father. With the help of author Mark Manson, who wrote the very popular book The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, Smith reflects on the pivotal highlights of his impressive career, such as meeting Nelson Mandela and being selected by Steven Spielberg to star in the insanely popular sci-fi film Men in Black. The memoir will also share his lowest moments as a celebrity, a father, a son, and a husband. The book is introduced with the quote, "My father gave me my name, he gave me his name, and he gave me my greatest advantage in life, my ability to weather adversity." The book is supposed to be a very heartwarming read that provides a glimpse of the actor's real-life insecurities and trauma. Number 2. Willow's single. The 21-year-old is certainly a star in her own right when it comes to her music, and a great host on the Red Table Talk with her mom and grandmother. After being so quiet on social media, it looks like Willow's music career is finally starting up again, and she is well and truly ready for her family to make their comeback. When she shared the preview of her latest single, It's My Fault, she was seen in tears while the intro of the song was played. Many fans were quick to comment on the post after she had taken an extended break from posting online. Overall, her fans made it clear that they were glad she's back and still making music. Her tunes will no doubt have been a positive distraction to the star during the last few months, which has seen her family make waves in the spotlight and plenty of negative headlines all round. And coming in at number 1, I Am Legend. It's been revealed that Smith is planning to star in a sequel to one of his most iconic movies, I Am Legend. Speaking to The Sun, an industry insider revealed that Smith has been in talks to reprise his role as the scientist Robert Neville, whom he starred in the 2007 original film, which was a complete box office hit, making almost $600 million. The script is still being written at the moment, and sources close to the project revealed that the concept is still to be signed off by Warner Brothers, but there has been no indication that Will has been kicked off. The insider added, quote, "The reality is that Will make a comeback at some point, and it will simply be down to which studio will be the one to take a chance on him," and added that Warner Brothers Studios have not ruled out Smith returning to the movie franchise at all. In fact, according to The Sun, the negative sentiments from the public about his career have certainly reduced in recent weeks, as the world has totally moved on. This might actually be the case, and if Smith ends up taking the project on, then this could well and truly mark a comeback for the Smith family.
First up, Richard Williams. Since the infamous Will Smith slap, many critics have stated that Will was selfish for taking the spotlight of Richard Williams, the man Smith portrayed in the film King Richard, as it was the night to honor Richard and his family. While the man himself has finally weighed in, and it seems that in the nicest way possible, he does not condone what happened at the Oscars. His son spoke to NBC News on behalf of 80-year-old Williams, saying, quote, "We don't know all the details of what happened, but we don't condone anyone hitting anyone unless it's in self-defense." Williams' son states that his father was shocked when Smith got up and suddenly slapped Chris Rock for making a joke about his wife Jada Pinkett Smith. Williams declined to say any more than that simple statement, although many were hoping Richards would comment on the comparison that Will Smith made to Richard Williams during his Oscars acceptance speech. Next up, Rose Rock. Chris Rock's mother, Rose Rock, has finally broken her silence on the slap during an interview with a local South Carolina TV station. Rock sat down with South Carolina News, WIS-TV, and shared her thoughts on what went down at the Oscars. Rock said, quote, "You reacted to your wife giving you the side eye, and you went and made her day because she was mulled over laughing when it happened." Rose shared that initially she thought the incident was staged or some sort of joke, but after Will began cussing about his wife, she knew it was real. Rock added, quote, "When he slapped Chris, he slapped all of us. He really slapped me, because when you hurt my child, you hurt me." When talking about the apology that later took place during Smith's acceptance speech, Rock said, quote, "No one heard his speech. No one was able to just be in the moment because everyone was sitting there like, what just happened?" The Oscars. After the infamous slap, the Oscars was put on the defensive, being forced to explain what happened and why Will Smith was not kicked out of the show after his insane behavior. Days after the ceremony, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, which runs the Oscars, said in a statement, quote, "Mr. Smith was asked to leave the ceremony and refund refused. However, this information has been debated, as a source told NBC News that while the higher-ups at the Oscars were debating what to do, one of the show's producers told Will to stay. However, a source at the show told NBC News that the official decision came from one of the show's producers. Days after this information came to light, the Oscars also announced their official decision on how to punish Smith for his actions. After deliberation, the Academy decided to ban the actor from attending the award show for 10 years. Smith, who resigned from the Academy last week, replied soon after in a statement saying, quote, "I accept and respect the Academy's decision." The official statement from the Academy said, quote, "The 94th Oscars were meant to be a celebration of the many individuals in our community who did incredible work this past year. However, those moments were overshadowed by the unacceptable and harmful behavior we saw Mr. Smith exhibit on stage. During our telecast, we did not adequately address the situation in the room. For this, we are sorry." As for the decision, they said, quote, "The board has decided for a period of 10 years from April 8th of 2022, Mr. Smith shall not be permitted to attend any Academy events or programs, in person or virtually, including but not limited to the Academy Awards." Next up, Alexis Arquette. Late actress Alexis Arquette came forward in 2016 with a huge secret. She claimed that Will cheated on his first wife, Cherie Zampino, with a man, and that's why the relationship ended. Arquette claimed that Jada is a beard for Will, and that's why they have an open relationship where Jada is allowed to sleep with other men. Arquette even claimed that Smith paid off Zampino after she caught him in bed with another man. Arquette claimed that Will was sleeping with Benny Medina, who is a well-known talent manager to stars like Jennifer Lopez and Mariah Carey. Arquette claimed that Will was doing everything possible to hide his sexuality, recalling an incident where Will refused to kiss Anthony Rapp on the set of 6 Degrees of Separation. In the end, the camera angle was changed so that the non-existent kiss was not viewed on camera. Arquette finished the Facebook post claiming she was angry that Will was hiding his true identity, adding, quote, "Gays have enemies. They lurk in gilded closets. Outing is healthy. You're either with us or against us. You decide today." And this is not the only time a rumor like this has come to light. In 2012, it was rumored that Will and Jada were headed for a divorce after she felt that he was a little more than friends with actor Dwayne Martin. Supposedly, they were spotted looking very close, even in restaurants together. Vitaly Siduk. Little known fact is that the Oscars was not the first time that Will Smith has smacked a man in public at an award show event. Vitaly Siduk interviewed Will on a red carpet almost a decade ago, and after they had a negative interaction, Will smacked him in the face as well. While being interviewed, the pair hugged, and when Siduk went to kiss him on the cheek, Will freaked out and backhanded him on the face. Although many felt this move was justified at the time, it shows that Will's first reaction in a negative situation is violence. The incident took place at the Moscow opening of Men in Black 3 in May of 2012, while Siduk was working for a Ukrainian television station. After the incident with Chris Rock, Siduk stated, quote, "I just immediately recollected the slapping incident in Moscow. I think the joke was inappropriate when it comes to someone's health, but Will's reaction is unnecessary and sends the wrong message to comedians being hit for a joke." Adding, quote, "I don't want to call Will Smith uncontrollable, he has a violent temper, yes, but I'm sure he realizes what he is doing." Siduk acknowledged that it was a bad joke and he understands why he was protecting his family, however it shows that violence is always his first instinct. Jeanette Hubert. Jeanette Hubert, the actress who played Aunt Viv on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air for the first 3 seasons, reportedly hates the cast, specifically Will Smith. She also dislikes his entire family and thinks they should get over themselves, saying once, quote, "You're not kings and queens, you're not royalty, you're simply entertainers." After portraying Aunt Vivian for 3 seasons, she decided to leave after contract negotiations went south. A feud between Hubert, Will Smith, and network officials was reportedly to blame. At the time she left, Will Smith said, quote, "I can say straight up that Jeanette Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show." Hubert responded by stating that Will Smith was unwilling to help her and would not elevate any other cast members during salary negotiations with NBC, saying at the time, quote, "We thought your influence would help us greatly, like they did on Friends. On Friends, the entire cast band together to ensure they all got an equal raise." However, at the time, Will felt he was better than his other castmates and claimed, quote, "My deal is my deal, and y'all's deal is y'all's deal." Years later in 2011, when there were talks of a reunion, she claimed there would never be a reunion because Smith is a, quote, "a-hole." When a photo of an apparent reunion was posted by Alfonso Ribeiro, aka Carlton, Hubert slammed it, calling Alfonso a media hoe and adding she will never participate because, quote, "I have no interest in seeing any of these people on that kind of level." Trey Smith. When speaking of the Smith family, most people only think about Will, Jada, and their kids Willow and Jaden. However, there's another son in the mix, Trey. Trey is a child from Will's first marriage to Cherie Zampino back in the early 1990s. Back then, Will was adamant on having a family and making them his first priority, but they decided to divorce after Will realized he was not able to love Zampino the way he wanted to. After Will married Jada and had kids with him, those 2 kids became his top priority, and he stopped spending time with Trey, causing Trey to feel, quote, "betrayed and abandoned" while growing up. Zampino once revealed reveal that Trey would confide in her and admitted that when he was a kid, he did not feel loved by his father. However, thankfully things have changed with time, and Trey is a visible part of the Smith family now, even attending movie premieres with the rest of Will's kids. Will himself revealed in a past Instagram video that his son, quote, felt betrayed and abandoned by him, but they are now restoring and recovering the relationship.
Starting off our list day at number 10, we have think too highly of themselves. Sometimes you can reach a certain level of fame and you forget about all the hard work and people who helped get you to the top, and you start to forget about all of them, and in the process you can sometimes get lost and become too full of yourself. And this is exactly what happened to the Smith family. While Will and Jada seem to be the main targets of this statement, when the Los Angeles Times caught up with Janet Hubert to clarify her criticism of Jada and Will, whom she is already accused of screwing over the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air cast years earlier in contract talks, Janet would say that they simply needed to get over themselves by saying, you ain't all that, you're not kings and queens, you're not royalty, you're simply entertainers. But this is clearly not how the Smith family sees things, especially Will, who back in 2007 had a Kanye West moment when he told the Daily Mail that his ambition was to be the first black president in US history, something to which Barack Obama beat him to first, and then Will went on to say that Barack Obama stole the idea from him, but it was okay as he went first and soon he will take his turn. In 2015, Will would then again tell CBS, I gotta be the president, come on. What else would I run for? Number 9. Jaden's an egomaniac. Jaden Smith's outlandish behavior certainly isn't helping with his mom and dad's reputation in Hollywood circles, despite a hit and miss record in his short career as an actor. The homeschooled young man has already irked movie makers and fans alike by declaring himself the future of filmmaking in many of his bizarre tweets. Jaden's online output had been both a source of entertainment and a cause for concern, with his cryptic comments about the world around him bordering on to seem delusional from time to time. In an interview with GQ magazine, Jaden would reveal that he had started an initiative called Mystery School, inspired by secretive work from ancient scholars. In the same interview, he would then refer to himself as being a scientist and claim that all of his past antics have been part of this large-scale social experiment, and he has become 100% fearless in the process. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8. Willow's chatter. If you thought Jaden was the most creative member of the Smith household, then you've yet to meet Willow. With Willow being 2 years younger than her brother, she still outdoes him when it comes to wacky comments and uncomfortable interviews. During a Q&A with the New York Times, Willow would reveal that she had the ability to manipulate time. When she said, time for me, I can make it slow or fast. However I please, and that's how I know it doesn't exist. Willow then went on to tell Style magazine that she wrote her novels because there aren't any existing books she already likes. When the interviewer tried to get back on track with questions about which themes she felt reoccurring in her music, Willow answered by saying, the feeling of being like this is a fragment of a holographic reality. That's a higher consciousness is made. Either there's a whole philosophical level to her track Whip My Hair, the world is completely missing, or she's getting way too into quantum physics. But I would like to think if I whip my hair back and forth, I could figure out what she was trying to say. Number 7. The kids freaked out Sony executives. If you're thinking the Smith kids and their erratic behavior has no effect on Will's and Jada's standing in Hollywood, then you might want to change your minds, as a leaked email that was exchanged between Sony executives proves otherwise. If you read the T magazine profile on Jaden and Willow, you would know that TriStar chairman Tom Rothman emailed a link to the interview to another bigwig along with the message that said, message 1, read this. 2, they are homeschooled, don't let this family date your movies. With Tom previously working with Will in 2 movies, that still didn't stop him from ridiculing the actor's kids, to the point Will just shrugged off the comments and said, everybody disses my kids. To me, that's just a part of the business, and somebody's private email is, so I would never hold anyone responsible for something they said in a private email. I shouldn't know about it. But his kids seriously freaked out Sony executives, so you kinda have to own up to that and figure out what's going on with them. Number 6. Too involved with drama. So it seems like whenever something happens in the industry, it seems like the Smith family are the first ones to jump into the drama and uncover what is truly going on by inviting that suspect or person to Jada's Red Table Talk show. Just take a look at Jordan Woods. After the Kardashians went to war with her after she ruined Khloe's relationship with her baby daddy Tristan Thompson. In an attempt to get in on all the drama, Jada invited Jordan to the Red Table Talk show to help her state her story, but in the process, all the interview would do was ruin Jordan's career even more. When Jordan should have apologized and moved on from the incident, instead, she went on Jada's show to air the Kardashians' dirty laundry live with Jada. And as soon as that interview was over, Jordan became a laughingstock, especially when Khloe came out to name the Instagram influencer as a liar. It just seems like from time to time, the family, especially Jada, takes things a little too far and they forget that they're actors and they're not Jeffree Star. Number 5. Messed with August Alsina. Just weeks after August Alsina dropped his bombshell revelation interview, Jada would be forced to confirm that the pair did in fact dive into a romantic relationship, and after she left August, he would be left feeling devastated because Jada took advantage of his mindset when he was at his lowest point of his life. With Jada previously saying that she was mentoring him through a tough part of his life, it made us all question what kind of mentoring she was giving him, where he felt like he was giving his all to a relationship that left him feeling devastated in her. With August being diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, he spent most of his relationship in and out of the hospital, which made it easy for Jada to get her hands on him and to consort him into a relationship that ended up destroying him when she threw him to the trash after her husband agreed to take her back. Number 4. Blaming everyone but themselves. When Jada and her family decided to get real during one of the Red Table Talk show's episodes, we would learn that the whole family has a problem with keeping their egos under control, as from time to time, we have seen them all admit that they weren't the nicest people to be around, and that you can't always trust them based on the way they have made themselves look. With the family doing some very unloving things to the people they love the most because of their fear and their ego, it seems like once their ego kicks in, if they are in trouble, they become vicious and mean. Even when they are in pain, instead of being more vulnerable to talk about their issues, they shut themselves off and blame everyone else around them as the problem. And this has become a deep problem for the family because they won't let themselves be open and release the pain, and instead they hide it away, they let it build up, so when it does finally release, it explodes and it creates one giant mess. Just look at the Oscars incident for an example. Number 3. Bad parenting. So it turns out that the bigwigs at Sony aren't the only ones who have questions about Will and Jada's parenting skills. Things got real for the family in 2014 when a picture of their daughter started to go viral after it showed Willow in bed with a shirtless 20-year-old man. With the photo slowly starting to become a viral meme, it would soon spark a police investigation and family services to look into the snap of Willow, which was posted online but removed shortly after. Sources would then tell Radar Online that Will and Jada were extremely cooperative with officials, but they weren't really happy about all the scrutiny they were facing when it came to their parenting skills. Social workers would then have to talk to Willow and the man in the picture, which forced Jada to eventually break her silence on the matter when she was approached by the press at an airport in Los Angeles, and she would tell E! News in that process, here's the deal, there's nothing bad about that picture or the situation, you guys are projecting your trash onto it and you're acting like you know better, which is not cool. Number 2. Jada's lie. Jada hasn't exactly put her family into a great position, especially since she has proved that producers and hiring agents actually can't really rely on her family's word, especially since she has admitted to lying to get a gig. As Jada once revealed that when she was offered a role in The Matrix Reloaded, she was pregnant and she sort of lied just so she could secure the job. Though the role was perfect for her, she may have lost out on the opportunity to play the part if she had been 100% truthful, as she was pregnant with her daughter Willow at the time and the filming schedule required her to begin in November. But there was a small problem with her daughter Willow also being due that very same month. In a video for Vanity Fair, Jada would tell the outlet that she lied just a bit so she could get the role because she was obsessed with the idea of being in the movie, especially since she lost out on the lead role. So she told them her baby was going to be born in October. Luckily for her, Willow came early, otherwise the production would have been delayed or Jada could have ended up being replaced. Either way, productions have been scared of facing similar issues when it comes to hiring this family. And coming in number 1 today, dropping contracts. While the work Will has done has definitely proved that he's a man with a bright future ahead of him because he's a talented actor, when it comes to Jada's work, she hasn't really yielded stellar results. And maybe that's why when it comes to Willow's career, she isn't afraid to back out of last-minute movie deals. Take Annie for an example. It was a much anticipated remake of a beloved Broadway musical, and when the production production on the film ended up being stalled because Willow decided to drop out of the lead role, the final product failed to hit the $100 million mark at the box office, which is an essential milestone for any family movie released over the holidays. With most critics finding the movie sucked, with Willow dropping out of Annie, she made the whole film feel like it was a giant missed opportunity and a big letdown. And it has producers wondering if they go to hire her in the future, if she's going to back out of their films as well.
Number 10. Their secret son. While many know of the existence of Jaden and Willow Smith, did you know that Will had a third son? Trey Smith was the product of Will's previous marriage to Cherie Zampino, and tends to fly under the radar in the eye of the media. In 2018, Jada brought Zampino on her show and spilled the tea on the real story behind Trey, their relationship to each other, and Will's role as his biological father. For many Smith fans, this was the first time we had even heard about Trey. Will claims that he had to distance himself from Trey and his mother following the divorce. Will recounts struggling to maintain a healthy enough relationship with Zampino for him to play the role of Trey's father figure. Trey was raised by his mom alone, growing up feeling betrayed and abandoned by Will. Eventually, Will made amends and became a proper part of Trey's life. But for a long time, Trey was kept hidden from the public, surely leaving a stain on the family unit that can never be washed away. Number 9. Jada's biases. When the Oscars So White controversy erupted in 2016, Will and Jada were among the most vocal critics of the Academy. For the second year in a row, all 20 of the actors nominated in the lead and supporting role categories were white, something that had not happened since 1998. Jada released a much publicized and highly mocked video explaining why she was boycotting the event, hoping to shine a spotlight on institutional racism. However, during an episode of Red Table Talk, the actress confessed her own tendency to judge others, revealing she specifically had a problem with blonde white women. According to Jada herself, blonde hair on a woman just sets her right off, and she's had to hold herself back quite a few times. She revealed that she had actually turned down several interviews over the years simply due to the interviewer being a white blonde lady. She claims that her bias is due to her history of being bullied by women with those physical traits growing up. I don't know, I got bullied all the time, but you don't see me running from every guy wearing camo around me. Number 8. Will's orientation. In 2012, Star magazine published an expose on Will that somehow stuck around for years. The outlet alleged that Will and his wife were headed for divorce because of his growing bromance with fellow actor Dwayne Martin, which was speculated upon due to the multiple outings the pair shared in a short span of time. The rumor was only intensified when Jada expressed her dislike for the friendship. She said that she felt like Will flaunts it in her face. He takes Dwayne out all day on exotic vacations while she just sits home alone in her university-sized mansion. Who cares? Well, it's never actually been confirmed if the bromance was more than what it seemed. The fact that multiple sources have accused Will of basically the same things makes us think there might be some merit to the rumors. Number 7. Will Smith almost ended his father's life. The Smiths are famous for getting into way too much detail when discussing their family history. Will Smith released a memoir called Will, released in 2021, that was chock full of juicy info that most certainly should have remained secret. One of the most shocking revelations in the book would have resulted in Will spending his life in prison had he followed through with his plan. The actor explained that his father, Will Smith Sr., got very physical towards himself and his mother all the time. As a child, he vowed to seek revenge for his mother when he was older and capable of doing more. Eventually, his father was diagnosed with cancer, and Will was forced to care for him while he was bedridden. Will saw this as the perfect opportunity to take his papa down. He wrote, "One night, as I delicately wheeled him from his bedroom towards the bathroom, a darkness arose within me." He then went on to describe the moment that he contemplated pushing him down the stairs. He noted that no one would have suspected him, and the moment was just perfect. He wrote, "I'm one of the best actors in the world. My 911 call would have been Academy Award level." Will ultimately decided not to end his father's life and instead took care of him until his passing in 2016. Number 6. Bad parents. Jaden and Willow Smith are famous for their outlandish antics and wild lifestyle. Jaden was on track to becoming an actor after starring in the 2008 remake of the classic Karate Kid series alongside martial arts and opera legend Jackie Chan, but later shifted his focus to a more entrepreneurial side of things, developing his own fashion brand, which has garnered him massive success. His sister Willow opted to stick with the more creative roots, however, and has made quite the name for herself in the hip-hop genre. Unfortunately, Frequently, their behavior comes from a place of neglect. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Jaden confronted his parents, calling out their terrible parenting skills. With both being so busy in their careers, they were almost never home to care for the youngsters. Jaden and Willow recount spending a majority of their childhood with various nannies and teachers, only seeing their parents in between projects or if they were working with their parent on said project, like when Jaden and Will were in the pursuit of happiness. Willow has backed up her brother's story, claiming that the parenting skills forced them to become mentally mature at a very young age, which probably plays some part in Jaden's success at just 24. Despite appearing to be a happy family unit in the media, the reality is Jaden and Willow have been raising themselves for a very long time. Number 5. He gets busy to relax. While the Smiths have famously entangled with other celebs throughout their marriage, Will once again shared a bit too much information in his new book, Will, and at one point made a not so shocking confession. When he was younger, Will was dating a woman named Melanie, who he discovered was cheating on him while he was away from work. Smith was deeply attached to his former girlfriend and to women in general. In his book, Will writes that he's always needed a woman to achieve for. Prior to Melanie, Will had only been with one other woman physically, but following the breakup, Will claims to have gone hyena mode over the next few months, whatever that means, making love to any woman who consented. At first using this as a way to relax and feel better about the relationship ending, this eventually grew into a full-fledged addiction, to the point where Will claims to have suffered a psychosomatic reaction from the escapades, causing him to occasionally vomit the moment he reaches completion. I did not need that image in my head, but since I have to suffer, hey, you must now join me. Number 4. They can't wait to get divorced. Breakup rumors have plagued this couple since they first tied the knot in 1997, but they rarely ever came forward to comment on the gossip. However, when the Margot Robbie rumors began to circulate back in the day, Will decided to finally speak up and clear the record. Himself and Jada were not getting divorced, and he was not dating Margot Robbie. Jada backed up that statement on Entertainment Tonight when the question of why people seem to want them to fall apart came up. While they presented a united front, conversations later on the matter suggested that the two had at least spoken about the idea of divorce at one point or another. During Will's appearance on Red Table Talk, the topic came up once again. Will said he would never get divorced as it was something he had already done and he'd like to avoid repeating it if possible. Jada laughed and said, yeah, not an option. But when she had Toni Braxton on as a guest, she claimed that she just simply wasn't mature enough to divorce him, which makes it sound like she was totally down to leave and she just couldn't do it right now. Jada is just counting down the days till she finally turns 18 mentally and kicks his butt to the curb. Number 3. Jada was briefly a Scientologist. While Scientology is usually referred to when breaking down Hollywood wacko Tom Cruise, Jada Pinkett Smith was briefly involved in the community and still partakes in some of its methods to this day. Jada and the rest of her family have often been linked to the controversial religion, though no members apart from Jada have ever actually admitted to being involved in any way, shape, or form. While Jada denies that she's a full-fledged member, the facts are she's been spotted attending several church events over the years. Former member Lee Remini backed up the claims of Jada's involvement, telling the Daily Beast that she herself interacted with Jada at an event taking place at the Scientology Celebrity Center, which is essentially just a giant room with famous nutcases in it, and Tom Cruise probably has an apartment hidden somewhere in there. If you want proof that the Smiths are involved in the religion, the family literally founded a school that contained an exclusively Scientology-based curriculum. That'd be like me opening a library containing just the Twilight series and being like, oh man, I freaking hate Twilight. Why would you just assume that I don't? Number 2, they actually suck. While rumors plagued Will and Jada for the moment they were married, their careers didn't seem to suffer at all. In fact, some would agree that Will was slowly taking over the Hollywood world, starring in much-loved flicks like the Men in Black franchise, I Am Legend, and the Bad Boys series. It wasn't until he slapped Chris Rock at the 2021 Oscar ceremony live in front of the world that the truth began to be revealed. Will exposed himself as an impulsive and aggressive man hidden behind a big smile. When Chris insulted Jada Pinkett Smith by joking about his excitement for a G.I. Jane movie, Will initially laughed, but his face quickly turned to anger when he noticed his wife didn't find that funny at all. Will won Best Oscar that night, but it would be the last good thing that would ever happen to him. The Academy banned Will from ever attending another event, he's been blacklisted in Hollywood, and Jada's talk show on YouTube was cancelled. It turns out that the most sane people in the Smith family are Will's kids, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be honest. And at number 1, cheating scandals. For a long time now, Will and Jada have attempted to hide their various marriage misdeeds from the media, but they've never never truly been successful in that venture. While both have been rumored to have been cheating on each other multiple times, it was Jada who was confirmed to be the real cheater. While rumors had been circulating that Will was romantically involved with Focus co-star Margot Robbie, those rumors were quickly laid to rest thanks to the crew of the project confirming that any photos taken were on set and in character. Jada, however, was most certainly cheating on Will a few years prior with her Hawthorne co-star Mark Anthony. The proof? Well, Will walked in on them getting jiggy with it and was reduced to tears, according to Jada. While they were able to hide it at the time, the conversation that took place between herself and Will on her now cancelled talk show was quite revealing.
First up, August Alsina. Without August Alsina coming forward, we would have no idea about his affair or entanglement with Jada Pinkett Smith. Will and Jada have been married for 20 years, but it seems that they've been anything but conventional, and the pair have revealed that they have an open marriage. Alsina spilled the beans on his relationship with Jada while on Angela Yee's radio show. When speaking about Jada, he said, quote, "I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life, and I truly, really deeply love her." Alsina even claimed that Will gave the couple his blessing to be together, although Jada denies this. Jada admitted to having an affair with August, but downplayed it as an entanglement. During the Red Table Talk segment where they spoke of the affair, Will looked visibly angry about the situation, and pushed Jada to admit she did have a relationship with August. After admitting to cheating, Jada didn't really apologize or seem remorseful, she instead just deflected, saying, quote, "I was in a lot of pain, I was very broken," saying she only wanted to help August, but it turned into a relationship. Jada said that this entanglement with August happened while she and Will were on a break, and their marriage was really struggling. After Jada called their relationship an entanglement, Alsina told Vulture, quote, "If you look up the definition of an entanglement, it's a complex and difficult relationship. It was exactly that. I think it's just the language that probably stuck out to people." Adding, quote, "But I definitely have to agree with it being an entanglement. It definitely was something complicated, a complicated dynamic." Even though it doesn't seem like Jada is ashamed of anything that she did, it is strange that she tried to deny it, then downplayed it when she could not brush it off anymore. She's also been accused of using her husband's pain for clicks on her Facebook show, but we'll get more into that later. Next up, Will Smith. Since Jada started being so open about her life on her Facebook show, Red Table Talk, she has consistently embarrassed her husband, Will Smith. Most notably was that episode where they spoke about their marriage and the affair that Jada had with August. In that episode, Will admitted to his wife, quote, "The fact that I am talking to you is a miracle," clearly showcasing the tension in their marriage. And then Will went viral after that interview, and a meme called the quote "Sad Will meme" spread quickly online. Will brushed off the commentary from that episode, saying he was not sad in that interview, rather he had a long day and was just very tired. He told GQ about the meme, quote, "I'm not sad, I'm effing exhausted." It seems that Will puts his relationship on the line for Jada and their marriage whenever asked, while she doesn't do the same. The most clear-cut case of this was his Oscar slap. Maybe he knew that if he didn't defend his wife in that moment, that would put another strain on their relationship. Will has also admitted that they're only in an open relationship because of Jada. Will has revealed their open marriage was Jada's idea, since she, quote, "has never believed in conventional marriage and had family members that had unconventional relationships." Jada has even shared private information regarding their intimate moments. When Jada had Gwyneth Paltrow on the Red Table Talk, Jada revealed that her intimate relationship with Will was struggling, and that it had been hard for them to keep the spark alive. Jada said, quote, "The accountability part really hit for me because I think you expect your partner to know what you need, especially when it comes to Fans quickly came to Will's defense against her, calling out Jada for speaking so poorly of her husband. One person even tweeted a meme of Jada asking herself, quote, "I wonder how I can embarrass this man this month." Next up, Gabrielle Union. One of Jada's most notable feuds is with fellow actress Gabrielle Union. Neither woman could remember why they feuded in the first place, and Union recalled always feeling strange about the way Jada treated her. Jada decided to clear things up with Union on none other than her show Red Table Talk. Jada said on the show, quote, "She and I did not talk for 17 years and we could not remember why. There was just tension between us every time we would see each other. There was some moment that we had that it just left a bad taste in both of our mouths. When we got on the phone to try and figure out what it was, we could not figure it out." In 2018, Jada had Union on the show where they finally put the beef to rest for good. The pair talked about their strange feud and how there was always tension between them, but neither had any reason to not be friendly. Smith said, quote, "It felt so good to even just go, hey, I'm sorry that I didn't even take the time to talk to you. And then I had to just apologize and just think to myself, damn Jada, that was some petty stuff." Union later told Today that she was not sure why Jada did not like her. She felt it was the media and other people that pitted them against one another, but thankfully they are on better terms now. Her kids. Jada and Will share 2 kids together, Jaden and Willow Smith. but there have been a lot of people who've doubted their parenting skills, including Child Protective Services. CPS showed up at their home to investigate after a picture showed 13-year-old Willow laying in bed with family friend Moises Arias, who was 20 at the time. While a source told Radar that the case was, quote, being taken very seriously by the department, Jada told reporters, quote, there was nothing indecent about that picture or that situation. Will and Jada's parenting style is pretty lax. Will admitted in the past the couple, quote, do not punish when it comes to their kids. The couple says they would rather give them as much control over their lives as possible. Adding, quote, the way that we deal with our kids is that they are responsible for their lives. Our concept is, as young as possible, give them as much control over their lives as possible. And on the concept of punishment, our experience is that it has a little too much of a negative quality. Jaden is also a fan of the ways parents discipline, telling Metro that it works pretty well. Although most kids would jump at the chance to have their parents stop nagging them. However, there might be times when it's appropriate to put limits on kids, as they might not understand the consequences of what's happening at that time. One example of this could be Jaden's past friendship with actress Zoe Kravitz. Zoe is 10 years older than Jaden, and Zoe admitted to hanging out with Jaden alone when he was just 14 years old. Although nothing inappropriate happened between them, other parents might want to limit that sort of interaction. Cherie Zampino. Cherie Zampino was married to Will Smith before he and Jada got married. The shady part is that Will and Jada started dating before he and Cherie were officially divorced. Jada's mother, Adrienne Banfield Jones, dished on Access, quote, I think initially when Will first called you, I think he was still married or he was just separated, and I was like, he's not available to you. Jada added that Will was the div, and the orst didn't happen yet. But Jada later admitted that when she learned things were not finalized, she should have backed off. To make matters worse, Jada has claimed on multiple occasions that she never even wanted to marry Will. She only decided to go forward with it because she got pregnant. Her mother and Will thought that starting a family was the best idea, and Jada reluctantly agreed. Later, the couple agreed to an open marriage. And finally, Jada herself. So I think we all know what happened at the 2022 Oscars between Will Smith and Chris Rock, but I'll give you guys a quick refresher. While Rock was on stage to present an award, he made a joke about G.I. Jane directed at Jada Pinkett Smith because she had a bald head at the event. Initially, Will Smith laughed at the joke, but after seeing that his wife did not approve, he got up on the stage, interrupted Chris and the show, and slapped him in the face. Everyone was shocked, but later many came to Will's defense because Jada had been open about her struggles with alopecia. But a few days after the event, many were calling Jada a hypocrite. TikToks of hers that she made days before the show resurfaced, clapping back at those that made fun of her short hair. In one clip she said, quote, she doesn't give two craps about what people say about her bald head. But clearly that's not true, or she would have been able to take the joke. In the rest of the video, she talks about how her hairstyling for so many years is part of the reason she developed alopecia. Jada shared that she was pressured to present her hair throughout her decades on the big screen and magazine covers. The treatments were used to give her straight hair, but they also caused her hair loss. That's not the only time her behavior has been a bit shady. The actress revealed that she can actually be pretty rude, specifically to people she loves the most. On an episode of her show Red Table Talk, she revealed that she's done so many horrible things to people she loves because of her ego, adding, quote, once my ego kicks in, we are in trouble. That Jada baby, she ain't cute, she's a vicious one, and she's mean. She also admitted that she got confrontational towards some of her husband's admirers, revealing, quote, there was only like 1 or 2 times where I might have gotten a little hostile when I felt people stepped over a boundary that they were disrespectful. Now we got an issue. She did know that she is doing her best to improve these behaviors, but obviously we would hope that she would be nice to people all of the time. So first up we got Chris Rock. Unless you are living under a rock, you know that Will Smith showed a completely different side of himself to the world at last night's Oscars. While comedian Chris Rock was speaking to the crowd and taking some digs at all the celebrities in the audience, Rock decided to take a jab at Jada Pinkett Smith, and I'm very sure he regrets it right now. Chris said, quote, Jada, love you, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it, referencing her almost bald head. Because in the movie G.I. Jane, the lead actress Demi Moore has shaved her head. Jada has been open about her struggle with alopecia, and she was likely forced to wear her hair this way because she's not able to grow hair completely. Immediately after this joke, Will Smith decided to get up, interrupt the live broadcast, and slap Chris Rock right in the face for millions to see. Chris looked stunned and was not sure exactly how to respond. Will walked back to his seat, then yelled, quote, shut your mouth, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth twice. After this slap, Chris Rock looked completely stunned, having no idea what to do or say. It looked like he was about to clap back and say another harsh joke about Will or his family, but Rock took the high road and decided to stay calm. The internet was set ablaze by this slap, with many not even sure if it was real or just staged for publicity. But considering what we've seen in the aftermath aftermath, it was 100% real. Although many pointed out that Will actually laughed at the joke moments before deciding to get up and slap Chris Rock. Many fans of Smith's have tried to defend his actions, but the overall consensus is that it's never okay to put hands on someone or work out issues with violence, which I completely agree with. Also, we have no idea if Chris Rock even knew that Jada Pinkett Smith had alopecia. It could have just been a big misunderstanding. Next up, William Hendricks. After Will Smith slapped Chris Rock on stage, another one of his attacks was resurfaced, because this was not the first time that Will lost his temper and his nice guy persona was called into question. In 1989, Smith spent a night in jail after he hurt a man named William Hendricks so badly that Hendricks almost lost his sight. Smith even spent a night in jail because of this incident and has a mugshot because of it. Not sure exactly why it happened, but Hendricks was a producer who we can assume worked with Smith. Even more coincidental, this incident happened days after Will won his first Grammy. I guess he likes to get into altercations around award season. The charges were later dropped against Will. Will Smith was 20 years old at the time, and after getting in a verbal argument with his producer, he decided to make things physical. As per the police report, Smith asked his bodyguard, Charles Alston, to quote, attack William Hendricks, who needed 6 stitches after he fractured his left eye orbit during the altercation. Next up, August Alsina. After the smack heard around the world, old reports that Jada had cheated on Will in the past resurfaced. The pair have spoken about how they are in an open marriage, so we're not sure if it was really cheating or not, but Jada admitted she was in an entanglement with rapper August Alsina during a break with her husband. When Will and Jada talked about it on Red Table Talk, Will looked visibly distressed, and the general consensus is that Will wants a monogamous relationship, but Jada wants to be open and see other people. In 2020, August exposed the secret that he'd had a long-time affair with Jada while she was married to Smith. Initially, the Smiths denied this, but later admitted that it started when the pair split up briefly. Alsina had been introduced to Jada by her son Jaden at a London music festival in 2015. Insiders stated that August became like a member of their family, even going on vacations with them and staying in their mansion. August is 21 years younger than Jada, and he claimed that Smith actually gave his blessing to have an affair with his wife, an allegation that Jada then denied. Will also reported that he had affairs with other women during this time. At one point, he was rumored to have slept with co-star Margot Robbie. Many believe Will's insane reaction to the joke is proof that he is in a toxic relationship with his wife, because he completely embarrassed himself on most likely the biggest night of his life, all because of a bad joke. Many also claim that Will would have rather smacked August, but instead Chris Rock got the brunt of his anger. Vitaly Seduk. Little known fact is that this is not the first time that Will Smith has smacked a man in public at an award show event. Vitaly Seduk interviewed Will on a red carpet almost a decade ago, and after they had a negative interaction, Will smacked him in the face as well. While being interviewed, the pair hugged when Seduk went to kiss Will on the cheek. Will Smith freaked out, then backhanded him on the face. Although many felt this move was justified at the time, it shows that Smith's first reaction in a negative situation is violence. The incident took place at the Moscow opening of Men in Black 3 in May of 2012 while Seduk was working for a Ukrainian television station. After the incident with Chris Rock, Seduk stated, quote, I just immediately recollected the slapping incident in Moscow. I think the joke was inappropriate when it comes to someone's health, but Will's reaction is unnecessary and sends the wrong message to comedians being hit for a joke. Adding, quote, I don't want to call Will Smith uncontrollable. He has a violent temper, yes, but I'm sure he realizes what he's doing. The reporter acknowledged that it was a bad joke, and he understands that Will was protecting his family. However, it shows that violence is always Will's first instinct. Scientology. After the Chris Rock incident, some started connecting the dots between the bizarre slap and Scientology. This is because the Smiths have been tied to Scientology in the past, and physical punishment is a popular teaching in the church. Apparently, it's a common teaching in Scientology to use slaps and other forms of physical force to show other Scientologists that they've done something wrong. After the slap, one user tweeted, quote, there's a Scientology course, I guess you'd call it, that involves slapping / physically humiliating fellow Scientologists in a group setting as a means of exerting superiority. It's remarkably common within the cult. The user even shared that Tom Cruise is known to use similar styles of punishment, but instead of hitting, he uses shouting to intimidate movie crews. This makes a ton of sense after what we saw happen on the set of one of Cruise's movies when he felt that COVID protocols were not taken seriously by his staff. Leaked audio heard him screaming at the top of his lungs at his staff, clearly sending a strong message. The Smiths have spent many years battling off accusations that they are involved in Scientology. The couple was apparently introduced to the church in 2004 by Tom Cruise, and they got so involved that the Smith family spent almost $1 million in 2008 to set up a school for the church. The Smiths said they designed the curriculum for the school, but insiders claimed it was based on Scientology. Both Jaden and Willow attended, but the school closed 6 years later when most of the parents removed their children. Tony Ortega, an expert on Scientology, said that the Smiths left Scientology in 2015 and that Will at least only ever dabbled in it. And finally, Will Smith himself. Will exposed himself in his 2021 memoir where he revealed his struggles with anger in the past and how he had thought about taking someone's life in the past. In this memoir, he revealed dark secrets from his past, like conflict that his father used to hit his mother, and when he was younger he was ashamed that he never stepped in to stop him. Apparently many years later his father had cancer and was declining rapidly. He was in a wheelchair at the time and was not able to care for himself, so Will thought about taking his father's life to avenge all the horrible things that he did to his mother. Thankfully Will did not go through with it and took the high road with his father. Will seemed to reference this in his Oscar speech, where he said that a higher power called on him, quote, to love people and to protect people and to be a river to my people.